Welcome to Roundtable Live for December 9th, 2016. I'm Bear Taffy with Mathis Games, Rockley Smile, and Northern Lion, joined by a very special guest. It's Edmund McMillen. Hello.
Hi.
Good to have you.
Hello.
Yeah. It's exciting. It's episode 69 of our cute little internet show we got going on here. Thank you very much for joining us.
That I can get into.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
adorable.
Mm-hmm. This is an exciting time, man. Not only do we have Edmund McMillen on the show, but moments before the show began, Edmund McMillen came through with a very special announcement. You want to go ahead and just get the ball rolling that way? That seems appropriate to me.
I'm pregnant.
Oh!
Congrats.
Is the father on Iwatya?
Yeah. Wait, was that what we're calling it now?
That's the term that predators use to describe themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Do we know if the hair is hair or
that is actually
organic tentacles?
Before you get into the announcement, that is a very important question I have to pose to chat. Chat, is the stuff on the predator's head, is that hair? Is it hair, or is it like some sort of weird meaty appendage? Maybe some sort of weapon? We didn't think about that, right?
I've never seen it weaponized.
Who translated the predator language to know that they call themselves Irwatya?
Yeah, that's another good question. We need
The
to figure
aliens,
out.
probably.
Probably what we call them.
I thought we just called them predator.
You know, it's like we went to the predator homeworld and we're like, "What's this?" And they said Iwatya, but they were actually just pointing at like a turd on the ground or something. We've been calling them like their word for shit all this time.
And then they massacred us with their dreadlock arms. So
Yeah, it's really like an inverse Thanksgiving situation.
We wonder why they make us into slaughterhouses.
anyway, Edmund's got some important info to divulge, I think.
Yeah, we're disappointing everybody and not releasing the expansion this year. It's going to be on the 3rd of January.
January 3rd.
Can you believe it?
I'm
What
just
an
sad
upset.
about it. I'm going to refund my Isaac.
Yeah.
after
No
400.
pre-orders. No pre-orders.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be mad about it, I think.
So that's awesome.
I don't know.
So we'll be talking that along with any other little tidbits we want to talk about with Edmund today. For the first bit of the show, we've also got the Champions of Fire Invitational. Our very own Ryan Latorno is hanging up the YouTube hat, going into the world of competitive mobile esports. So that's some exciting development. Also,
in a niche before it becomes popular. Good on you, Ryan.
Yeah.
That's how you do it.
Thanks, guys. It's always nice to have the support of the internet behind me.
Hey, I was cheering for you.
Thank you, Nick.
it's basically like if you invested in Google in like 1995. You're really getting in on the ground floor here, man.
Yeah, or if you bought like 1,000 Nokia N-Gauges and then tried to resell them like 4 years later for a profit. I'm not saying it is like that. I'm just saying it's between the two, maybe.
It's like the current value of a Jace the Mindbender or something like that.
Excuse me. Now, Jace the Mind Sculptor is still valuable, Bear. Jace Vern's Prodigy has dipped in value after its standard rotation.
Yeah, we got something deep in your core with that one, huh? Shit. Okay. Nick is going to talk to us a bit about the Resident Evil 7 demo. This is like the final version, right?
Yeah,
This
it's
is
over.
Okay.
I finally finished the demo and finished the mini episode that is that demo.
Then we've also got Ghost Lords. Nick will be telling us about that. And then Nick, Mathis, and I have played The Last Guardian. And we have some words to say about it. But we'll talk about that later. To begin with, Mr. Edmund McMillen. It's so good to have you. Thank you for joining us again. You are working on Afterbirth Plus, of course, Legend of Bumbo. I really want to ask you about Legend of Bumbo, if I can, just to get
Go
that
for
out of
it.
my system real quick. Are there any
When's
other...
it coming out?
When's it coming out? Why isn't it out already?
Wait, what did you want to ask? Was there something in there?
Well, we got the details that we have so far it is going to be... we talked about this actually a couple of weeks ago. We kind of interpreted it as like it's got a little bit of 10 million gameplay to it. Does that seem about right?
What is 10 million?
It's like a match 3 game where you well actually I didn't play 10 million. I played You Must Build a Boat, which is the like
Exact
the
same
success-
thing.
Yeah, basically the
Yeah,
same
that
thing.
game is 10 million. Same developer.
No, it's more. I mean, if the games I'm ripping off are Puzzle Quest,
Okay.
I'm into that.
The Binding of Isaac.
What's that one?
Binding of Isaac, it's a ripoff of Legend of Zelda and Spelunky.
Okay.
What does Splunky rip off of?
Spelunky's the ripoff of Crawl and Mario.
Oh shit, man! I like this game a lot. Hold on, what's Crawl a rip off of?
Of Rogue.
What is it?
Of Rogue.
Oh,
Rogue.
okay. Well, that's the core then, right? That's the bottom level. Once we get to Rogue, that we can't get any further than that.
Nope. I'm sure there's somebody out there who's screaming their head off, going, "Actually!"
It's a fun game. We could do little flow charts for all our favorite games and see where they
All
take
we're really
us.
finding out is that creativity is dead, and we're nothing but copycats.
Oh yeah.
This is 5 degrees of separation. Well, it can't all be to Rogue though, right? Not everything leads back to Rogue.
No, everything.
Everything.
It either leads back to it or it leads up to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a big, if you look at the chart, there's a big rogue in the center, and it's like a pyramid and then an inverted pyramid.
Mm-hmm.
And the hourglass is just our life ticking down.
I do actually hope to start posting details on. I think once this Afterbirth thing is out of the way completely, then James and I will start an official blog where we give details, and hopefully the game will be out mid next year, late next year.
Mm-hmm.
something like that.
Sweet.
And we've gotten to the point. There's a lot of interesting things I'd love to go into detail about it, but yeah, I mean, it really was a very organic start. It didn't start as Bumbo, started as something completely different. But I'll probably do a post about that. But either way, it's just it's a solid puzzle game, dungeon crawl, Isaac like.
All roads lead back to Isaac, which means all roads lead back to Rogue. So
I was like, I've seen so many games that are referencing Isaac. I have to do one.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, speaking of referencing Isaac then, so with Bumbo, I feel like it's just sort of a natural assumption that it's going to be, pretty heavily related to Isaac, right? Like a lot of the themes are going to be Isaac tied. So do you think it would be like enough of a standalone to where if you haven't played Isaac, you'll be able to play Bumbo, or what do you think is the situation
There's going to be a lot of, in a lot of ways, this game will kind of almost be a prequel.
Okay.
I don't want to say too much because that's part of the fun of
the lore.
Sure.
figuring the game out.
Sure.
But, yeah, I would say it's a prequel in the Isaac world. You don't need to know jack shit about Isaac to play it because it plays more like a puzzle game. I recommend maybe playing Puzzle Quest if you want to get to know it. But there's going to be a lot of nods to Isaac item-wise and stuff like that. And the structure is very Isaac-y. But we're playing around with a lot of different stuff. Less RNG, more watching what you're doing sort of AI, which is an interesting leap in a different direction, which has been piloted by James. And he has a lot of really cool ideas when it comes to that sort of stuff too. And it's more complementary to a puzzle game, where you really want the 1 + 1 = 2 type formula. But yeah, I'm super happy with it. It's taken almost a year to get to a state where it's like, okay, this is what the game is. Now we can start talking about it. And the graphics are great. I'm really happy with it.
I really like the aesthetic of the game. That cardboard cutout. It's really cool looking.
It makes it really easy on me and difficult on James. I'm literally drawing more primitive. My art has gotten more primitive over time, and I'm more like a little child drawing something. And now literally I am drawing like a little child. And then once I scribble some stuff down in Flash, James gets to export it and then painstakingly cut out literal cardboard shapes, bend them, beat them up, and then animate them.
Yeah.
Easy.
Damn, that sounds like a lot.
I mean, because it is 3D.
Yeah.
Right. Like at least the interface elements are 3D.
Yeah,
so.
it's all 3D. It's totally 3D.
Cool.
I mean, they're 3D cardboard cutouts, but a lot of them are like 3D. Like James showed me today that we have there's a shell game in the game, and so the skulls needed to be modeled from a 2D plane to a 3D plane, and it's kind of like, well, if it was a flat piece of paper or a piece of cardboard, how would you fold it, wrap it,
right?
What would you do? And it, it's cool. I mean, the whole thing's played off of the idea of, kids cutting out a piece of cardboard and making like a little dioramas. So we get to really go deep into our childhoods when it comes to playing around with cardboard boxes. We get to really go in that box environment.
So was this the art style from the beginning, or did it kind of change as you guys have been making it?
The original stuff that we were playing around with were actually puppets.
Oh, really?
Yeah, puppets. It wasn't. It was a bum. It was more bum themed.
Uh-huh.
Not Bumbo themed. It was more like a hobo wars type environment.
Okay.
We were playing around with, and they were going to be puppets. Then it was kind of like, well, like we're kind of dancing around something that I've done, and it would be, and I was already kind of like falling in love with. I always really liked the bum character designs in Isaac, the little one-toothed, no leg little guys. So, whatever. We'll go explore that.
Right on.
And your next game can just be Hobo Wars. Like that sounds pretty good.
Real time. No RTS with it. I'm ready for it.
A little insensitive, but as long as it's played right, I think it could.
That sounds like that's got to be a game that already exists on Steam.
It's sort of
Greenlight.
eugenics, right? I mean, it's a little in that it's not cats.
Yeah, no, in a way, yes. Mm-hmm. Basically. Can't get away from garbage land. I'm a big fan of trash. And waste, just in general.
Yeah.
If people don't like it, it's my cup of tea.
Beautiful.
So, this is a non-dev question, a little bit of a tangential thing here, based on a couple of things you mentioned earlier. Also, chat, by the way, if you've got questions, we'll be fielding a few for Edmund, so be thinking about those as we're going through this segment here. But I was just curious a little bit. You mentioned that you worked in animal control before being a dev, so I don't know if you've broken this down before, but what's your favorite jobs you had before becoming a developer?
I worked a lot of jobs before a developer. I was actually working in GameStop while I was developing as well. Like during the Gish cycle, the first few months of development, I was still working at GameStop to make rent, and then I started to had to quit my job and borrow money from the company to finish it. But yeah, I mean, I worked tons of shitty jobs. I worked, fast food, Dairy Queen, stuff like that, and I worked in factories, and I worked for the longest jobs I had were I worked at Blockbuster for like over a year, and then I worked animal control for over a year, and that was probably my favorite. But yeah, it was. I'd say a lot of like the rot and decay in my games comes from that, because I was the last hire before they went county, so before it like kind of grew into a more legit, larger entity. And I was one of 3 people, and I was kind of the whipping boy, and they had me do the deads, like all the dead calls. Like if it was a dead animal,
Damn.
and it's been rotting in the sun for a week, then call up Edmund, because he's going to scrape it up.
So was that it was like a private company then before it went county? Is that what you're saying?
It was owned by the SPCA. It was SPCA
Okay.
run, and that was like a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So it was kind of weird, but it was an experience for sure. I really did. If I didn't lose, I got fired eventually, and if I didn't lose my job, I probably would still be working there. I wouldn't have even ventured into games at all, because I was pretty happy with it. But the people that I worked with were really awful, and I technically quit before I got fired, but then when they begged me to come back because they were shorthanded, then they fired me.
What?
It's a whole story. I mean, I can tell it if you guys want.
I mean, you got me hook, line, and
Why
sinker
not?
here, to be
Yeah, I'm
honest.
interested.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare betrayal. Like I was really close to my training officers, and when we were going county, there was a lot of fear, because the people that I worked with, we all had high school educations. None of us really went to college. They weren't the most educated women in the world, and they had trouble passing a lot of different tests. Like you had to go do firearms training, you had to go laws and arrest, you had to take tests, and I was able to pass those, and my training officer wasn't. So there was always this weirdness between us about them worrying that when we went county and they started giving us more tests, that I would rise up and they would fall off. And there was a point in time where there were people below me that were coming in, and I noticed that my training officers would kind of beeline and attack these new people and like take them down, and then they would get fired. Like one of the training officers fired this person because they said the N-word, which was a whole controversial bit.
Sure.
there's a lot of detail to that though. It wasn't like it's hard to say it wasn't in a racist way, but this lady was quite country, and was using it to describe how she didn't want to be treated. Anyway, she was fired. Another guy was hired. He was fired, and it at times seemed like it was they were ganging up on these people, and then. Further down the line, we're going county. Things are getting even crazier. There's only 3 of us left, and I find a little floppy disk that says Edmund on it.
Oh no!
So I put it into the computer.
Floppy disk. I don't mean to say this tangentially, but floppy disk is definitely dating this story a little bit, isn't it?
Yeah, it was a 3.5. It was the early 2000s. Burnt discs were just becoming a thing at that point.
Sure, yeah.
They were a little dated. So, I look and it's literally a notepad document with my name on it, and then a bunch of dates, and then all these details like saying Edmund did not fill up the gas tank this day all the way. Edmund did not fill up the gas tank all the way this day. There was a spot of blood left in the back of the car, not clean. It was like all this like not cleaning. Like it was just really lame shit, but nothing I could get fired for. But I knew what they were doing, and I knew that they were the ones that did it. So I kind of like called them out on it, and they were like, "Oh no, it's not a thing." And I started to get really worried. And the next day I came into work, and they started putting me on night calls. So it was these 24-hour shifts basically. Mm-hmm. So on the weekend, I had a walkie-talkie by the side of my bed, and whenever it went off, I would have to get up and go. And it was hellish. It was some hellish shit. And one of those night call days, I got up and had to bring the van back to work, and I handed it off to my training officer, went home, went to sleep. Next day, I come back into work, and I get pulled in, and they're like, "You left the door unlocked to your van, and there's a firearm in the back. You're gonna, this is like, you get fired for this." And it's like, I didn't lock it because I gave the keys to my training officer who was getting in it to leave. Like, that's her deal. And I got really upset because I realized, oh, this is how they're doing it. Like, this is the way that they're going to fire me. So I got really pissed, and I was like, I guarantee you right now that if you go to her truck, you can open up the back of her truck, and there'll be a firearm right there too. And I just, flipped the coin, and it was true. Once that happened, my training officer basically just like ran at me, wanted to fight me, and I said, "Okay, I quit. I'm done. I can't work this. I know what's happening, and I'm not going to do it." And I keep putting on these really insane calls. Get some really mysterious calls like, "Head way out into the woods. I think I saw a dead deer caught in a deer caught in a fence," something like that. And I'd be like, "Oh, it seems fishy. What does it matter at this point in time?" I go out there and there's nothing there, and it seems like somebody's just baiting me into going further and further out into nowhere.
Yeah, jeez.
It's terrifying.
Terrifying, yeah.
Okay.
When you're in an environment like that, where it's like, we're not cops, but we're doing dangerous shit, and it's scary at times, and it's serious, and I can't trust the people that are supposed to be training me.
Yeah.
So I quit. I said, "I'm done. I can't do this. Like, there's no way I could work with these people." And then a day later, I got called from the head person there, and they asked me to come back because they're so shorthanded, and they're so sorry. They'll raise my pay. Blah 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 blah. And then a week later, once they found somebody to replace me, they fired me. That was it. It was pretty awful. Like, it was the ultimate betrayal. I felt so shitty after that, and it was hard for me to like trust a lot of people. And that was the moment where I was like, I don't want to fucking work for anybody anymore, because just that feeling of knowing, the feeling when you get in trouble, like you might be in trouble for something and then you could lose your job. Like, just the idea of that happening and having somebody else in control of my life was such a horrible deterrent that I was like, okay, I'm going to try to do this on my own, and I'm just going to try really, really fucking hard to do it.
Yeah.
And did try really hard for like 9 more years, and eventually was able to make money off of what I was doing. But
Hell yeah.
control was cool. It was a cool job.
That's a good story.
Yeah, it was.
It is a good story.
Mm-hmm.
I was going to ask you how your GameStop experience compared, but after that story, it's like, it had to be more hellish.
GameStop was so easy peasy, man. I love that job. That was so great.
Me and Mathis
I
worked
got
there.
fired from GameStop as well.
Me too.
So,
They rehired me though, legitimately.
They would. I could not get rehired for what I got fired for.
What did you get
oh,
fired
I never
for?
even heard that story.
Yeah.
I haven't told the
How did
story.
everybody get fired? That's the whole show today.
Ooh, okay. Well, I
know
mean,
this story.
I already paid my dues, so it's okay.
All right.
I legally, literally paid my dues. I was a dirty little thief when I was like 20 years old. I never took cash out of the register. That's not what I did. I thought I was being way sneakier. I would go back and look for like original Xbox pre-orders that were never picked up, and go way back into the system, cancel them, put them on my card, go to a different store, and then like go buy things. And I did that for years before anybody caught me.
Holy shit.
And the only reason I ever got caught is because A, I was lazy and was using my card, but B, money actually started going missing from the drawers. So they did a full investigation of the entire store.
Oh no!
And they sat me down and they were like, "So can we talk about a few things?" And they tried to pin the money on me. They're like, one of the things the guy said is like, "You think you're the one taking the money?" And I was like, "Well, I'm not." Then they said, "What if we told you we had a little camera on the desk that showed you taking money from the counter?" And I'm like, "Show me the evidence," because I never took money out of it. They're just trying to scare me into admitting to it. But they're like, all right, well, we have this at least. This seems fishy. What's going on here? They pinned me for like a little over $3,000, but that's all they had evidence for. But it was a lot more than that. But yeah, I got fired because like I was being a fucking thief.
I would have caught your ass. I know how to do it.
The thing is, I was working with a bunch of people who didn't. Like, they were too stupid to realize what I was doing. And I used that to my advantage and got a lot of free shit.
You wouldn't have stood for that AM Rockley smile, huh? I don't think so.
Definitely not. I shouldn't have done, like, I understand. Like, I was being, this was like 11, 12 years ago. I was being a little asshole.
Yeah.
I had to pay.
I'll tell you, though, like, I've worked those jobs. And when I worked at Blockbuster and GameStop, everybody stole. Like, the managers stole. Like I probably shouldn't talk about that because that's, like... really,
Actual felony implications on the show.
That full store investigation before, just so you know, only one person got to stay in the store. The GM, the manager of the store, was the one taking the money out of the register. She got fired. One person got moved. I got fired. And the only other person that was working there got to stay, and he got like a promotion. And then he got fired 4 months later for being seen hanging out with me in the mall because we were friends.
Wow.
So.
Jeez.
Man, that's so surprising to hear that that's the way it was for you guys. At my store, the only thing that got taken was the pennied out guides. We were actually pretty by the book. Which,
What is a pennied out guide?
well, after a guide sits on the shelf for too long, it gets pennied out of the system, which is you're supposed to ring it through for a penny to basically absolve it from inventory. And then you're supposed to field destroy them, rip the covers off, and put them in a dumpster. But instead of ripping the covers off, we just take them home and keep them because that's stupid to have to destroy them like that.
It's like a gangland slaying.
out too.
What was that?
Do you ever penny out games? Because I remember we pennied out games in our store, and sometimes like,
Yeah, we wouldn't take them home, though.
Yeah.
I didn't do anything too horrible. I mean, with Blockbuster, I had there were some holes in the system that I exploited for sure. But with GameStop, the worst I did was when somebody came in with some rare NES game or whatever at the time, I would tell them the price we'd give them, and I would say, I'll give you that price in cash.
I had to take somebody in the back room and have a talk with them for that exactly.
That's awesome.
But yeah, that was basically it. There's, it's hard not to exploit holes when you're poor and
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're getting paid shit and
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know. Like, and then you see everybody around you also stealing. Like when I worked at Dairy Queen, people would just steal money out of the register all the time. Like it was just a common
Man.
thing. Every job I ever had, my managers stole. They didn't steal a lot, but they always stole. So it was definitely not a good example. But I was always so paranoid that I would get caught someday for something. And at Blockbuster, it was as simple as probably the same as GameStop system as well. If the people that you were working with that received inventory were lazy and they didn't scan everything in, when you would scan it and when somebody bring it up and you'd scan it, it'd be like not received in inventory, right? But at Blockbuster, same thing would happen, except it was a rental situation and not a purchase situation. So what I would do is I would go around, and if someone would come through my line and it would say not received in inventory, and if it was a game that I liked, I would simply put it back on the shelf and say, sorry, this isn't received in inventory. And then I would rent that game. And if the person who was renting it to me, who was my boss, simply didn't see not received in inventory and just gave it to me, I wouldn't return it. There was absolutely no record of anything.
Yeah. That's the thing too, like, and it's not justifying at all what I did. I knew it was terrible, but it was so easy. Like,
Yeah. I mean, we all do dumb shit.
Don't
exactly.
fucking say that, man. Like, I'm not saying it was okay for me to kill that guy, but it was so easy. Ugh.
The worst part is it wasn't even a challenge.
I just had to push him off the bridge. It was so simple.
Yo, there's a difference between like killing somebody and then like getting a brand new PS3 for $20. It's like
A lot of this stuff though, like, was easy to think that you could get away with it easily, but if you saw like what the higher ups had access to in the inventory lists, like they could get into information you didn't think was available. They just never bothered.
they showed up with like papers from like a Sherlock program and stuff. They're like, this is what we have on you. And I was like, well, I can't deny that,
Yeah.
but I can deny
But even at a store level, like, we could get into like over-under numbers of things that happen like on a given day that you didn't actually see in the normal reports.
Yeah.
So like that kind of stuff, if they cared to look into it, they could figure shit out pretty easily. Just most people were overworked and underpaid and didn't feel like bothering because there was too much other shit to worry about.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the disclaimer we should probably say is, obviously anybody can steal anything they want, but there will be consequences eventually for something. And if you're going to steal shit, make sure you're underage.
I had to pay restitution to GameStop, and I had to pay the state as well.
You got your ass busted, man.
Yep.
I worked at Goodwill for 6 weeks. And one time inside of a box of like decrepit old garbage that somebody brought in, like people would just bring their trash, which was pretty not
That's
nice.
kind of fucked up, man.
Yeah. You'd literally like bring like 3 boxes of clothes and then like 1 box of like food waste. And you're like, okay,
Oh,
there's just dumpsters. Like, anyway, but we like at the bottom of this box of clothes, there was a sealed box of crackers, like sealed in shrink wrap and then in a tin. The best before date was like 3 years ago, and we ate them. And they were good.
God,
they
you
were
are
totally
so
fine.
goddamn Canadian.
This
They
is
were-
your
they
comparison
were
to the
Skype.
felony story? This is what you had to contribute in the same vein as Mathis stole thousands of dollars of goods worth from GameStop.
One time, I worked at an office where somebody got fired.
Oh,
Oh shit!
on the
all
edge,
of Ryan's
man.
stories were about crackers. Like the time he dunked some
Whoa.
crackers on some kid.
That's true. I mean, crackers have been a big part of my life in general.
Man, I thought I was breaking the rules when I worked at Target. I would ring up like an apple for 5 cents, and I was like, "Oh, I'm sticking it to the man here, getting these guys a deal." But no, y'all are a step above, man. Shit.
That's
Here,
right.
don't worry, you're a criminal mastermind compared to me.
Well, like when people would bring shit up and it doesn't have a tag, I would have to go all the way to the back and figure out what the hell the price was, or call somebody and be like, "Hey, can you go look up what this is?" I don't want to do that. You just type in a number. They give us like free reign to do whatever we want as a cashier at Targets. You just type in anything. You just type in your login, and then it says, "Okay, that's the price of this item. Thank you. Thank you for clarifying. That's a 15-cent spatula. That sounds good. Let's send that out."
Criminal masterminds, all of us.
All of us.
And Nick's the cop.
Oh man,
What's Ryan though? He's like the lookout. He doesn't really do anything illegal.
Ryan's the team mom.
If I was a low-level employee, I wouldn't rat on you, but I wouldn't do it. I'd be like, "You guys go nuts." But
I got one of the person that I got fired for at GameStop was because I was ringing I was canceling the pre-orders under his login and password, so it wasn't on my record.
you were trying to obfuscate the crime.
Oh, he got
You're
fired.
throwing him under the bus.
He got fired for it. Yeah. That was the other guy who got fired, other than the manager. They told me like I knew their login and shit. So
See, what's great is that this story is fine for you because you're here now. But what's the story of the guy you got fired? He better be like a millionaire, or you should still feel some guilt there.
Even he knew his login. Everybody at the store knew everybody's login. It's
Yeah.
listed on all the performance reports.
It's the honesty system, man.
Did you do it too, Edmund? Come clean here. Come on, we're doing it all together.
What? Dude, I all of my guilt is on me. I didn't even tell anybody about the stuff that I did.
I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm a fucking asshole. That was super douche of me.
Yeah, I'm mildly proud. I'm mildly proud. I felt like I just couldn't see any way that I could get caught for this aside from admitting to it.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't have gotten caught if it wasn't for my general manager. God damn it.
But I mean, I every loophole in the fucking system. Like, I don't know if GameStop still does this. But I think they do it with rewards members. Like, when you sign people up and you get something for it, right, at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So at Blockbuster, they had the same sort of thing. It was old school reward system, and it was this like coupon shit that you put on a keychain. Those dumb keychain.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. So it was like $10 to sign up, and in the middle of it, it came with like one free old rental, which was a basic credit. I just discovered that the code was a everlasting basic credit of $5.
Oh,
I see where this goes.
If you came to me through the line and I saw that you got over a certain amount, so it was a discounted thing, and I saw that amount to $5 and the thing was $10, I said, hey, this is free. I'm going to put it on your account. Now you're a rewards member. Click, ding, bong, buy.
Same exact thing at GameStop all the time. All the time. Like, oh, you get a free $15 membership to Game Informer magazine.
Yeah.
You want the magazine? You can have it. Here's your card. Don't worry about it.
And I never gave a shit about selling those things until it was like, okay, the sales are really low. Like people were selling like 15, 20 a month, right, each. Yep. And it was like, okay, we're going to do this competition. A Nintendo 64 to the winner, and then the person in second place gets a monitor. It's all the old shit that they had on display, right?
Yeah.
I fucking sold 175 in a month.
Ooh.
The person in second place was like 50.
Wow.
No one questioned it. Because I remember telling my boss, like, I'm using this coupon. I'm using this. Like, I'm using it and I'm giving it back to them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right.
And
This couldn't
I
even
will
be bothered.
continue to dominate the world with these reward memberships.
Yeah. Ryan, you've never been fired, right?
No.
I didn't think you would have been.
the end.
I wouldn't be surprised. Like in Korea, probably a lot of teachers would be fired if you didn't have to fire them and then put them on like a $2,000 flight back to North America. But they're like, it's too much trouble. We got to get someone over here. And then like to get a replacement, you can't just walk down the street. So, I mean, I don't think I would have been fired, but it probably would have been, there would have been a greater chance. But apart from that, I mean, I'm the kind of guy who's like, if I'm like 2 minutes late for work, I'm like, I'm going to be fired. Like, one strike and you're out.
Yeah. I've been fired, but it was
How many times?
just
Who
once.
did you steal from?
I mean, truth be told, I think I got away with a little bit of a haul from the place I was fired from because they bought me some software licenses, which I am still using to this day. So
Yeah, okay.
got a little bit of value out of it, but I don't even have a really good story behind it. That was mostly just incompetence. I got hired for a job I had absolutely no business having. I somehow charmed my way through the interview, got into the desk, and got a paycheck, and realized, what the fuck am I doing here? And about 3 months later, I had a quick little chat, and they said, hey, this isn't working. And I was like, hey, you're probably right. And I got fired.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fired twice.
Fired twice?
Second one's not a fun story.
Okay.
Oh,
Tell that
jeez.
Does it get worse than you
No.
stealing
It's boring.
thousands of dollars?
I got
I
fired.
embezzled $1 million.
I got fired the second job because I was working at Chili's, and every time you go to a table, you're supposed to be like, and here's the specials, and do you want this? And like basically try to sell them, and I wouldn't do that.
Mm-hmm.
And they kept talking to me, and I'm like, no, I don't want to sound like a car salesman. That doesn't, it's not the kind of quality of service I want to provide, so they let me go.
But at least you had your pieces of flair on, right?
Oh, yeah, of course. Had to have the buttons and all that other shit.
All right. So, chat, if you've got questions for Edmund, this is a good time to let them fly in chat. We'll try to filter through, see which ones we can grab there. I'll start it off. This is actually a question from my wife, Elise, for you, Edmund. She's a big fan of Isaac. She's got like 600 hours in it or something crazy like that.
The ladies love Isaac.
They do. You mentioned a little earlier that the rot theme does spawn a lot from your days as animal control. So there's a little bit of an answer to the question there. But I was just kind of wondering, generally speaking, where does your new item creation process start? Are you at this point maybe like so far into it where it's maybe like just an automatic process of one thing clicks to another?
It starts watching Ryan's episodes and listening to Ryan be like, I'd love to if this item existed.
You flatter me.
That's all I do. No, yeah, I think at this point, quite honestly, I watch my wife play. Like, I don't get to play because my wife just hogs the television. She plays on PlayStation constantly, and she's trying to 100% Afterbirth currently. I just watch her play, and then I hear her like, okay, here's like a spoiler. This isn't in Afterbirth Plus. This is just something that I was like, oh, this is a much needed item. I'm surprised nobody suggested this.
Mm.
A bomb item that lets you place bombs rapidly, like explosive diarrhea. There's no item in the game that lets you place it rapidly. And like you end up with like 100 bombs, and you can place one, 2, 3. Now you can place another. It's like, that sucks. And like, how did I never see that? And it was just one run where she just had shitloads of bombs, and she uses bombs a lot to kill things. And I was like, oh, like, why isn't there one where you just hold down the bomb button and just spam bombs? So if I end up doing a mod item for the first monthly expansion edition for Afterbirth Plus, I'll probably make that item and put it in. And that's usually what it is. I mean, I don't design around aesthetics at this point, which I always forget what the design process is called. It's either top down or bottom up. I think that's top down design. I'm not too sure. It's like when you take like a theme and you design around it, or when you take a mechanic and design around it. It's either top or bottom, and I always get them switched around. But at this point, I'm designing around mechanics that are needed. Like, wouldn't it be cool if this, and then I have, like there's like roughly 20 different archetypes or major mechanics in the game that all need to kind of be padded out the more you expand things. Like there's always got to, with every 20, 30, 40 items that I put in, there's got to be at least one more bomb type thing, just to make it so I don't thin that part out. Or there's got to be another like contact, whenever you get hit, this happens item within that. So there's all these like mini archetypes that have to be padded, and then there's always, the weirdo oddball ones that just kind of fall out of the sky and end up being cool. And there's always sometimes the miscellaneous ones, like the a few of the guys came up with a bunch of weird mods for packs, and they're modded items, really simple stuff, but a lot of it didn't get shown. I think one of them was like the little, I ended up turning it into a little turd cube, and it just spawned. You'd use it and it would spawn like a little turret fly, and
nice.
It was like a 1 or 2 charge or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, wouldn't it be cooler if it was like a timed charge, because we don't have a lot of those right now, and you could just spawn shitloads over time, or even reduce the time and then go crazy and make shitloads of turrets and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Just stuff like that.
awesome.
Like, just keep. I'm still surprised to this day though that I can come up with new ideas. It seems like it should be tapped out at this point, especially without adding like a whole new mechanic to the game. If I added something totally new to the game, then I'm sure I can come up with 100 items that are revolving around that. But yeah.
Well, here's a related question then. Travis Dog is wondering, for how long do you see yourself working on expansions for Isaac?
Oh, this is it. This is the end.
This is the end? Okay, there you go.
This is the end. No, yeah, it'd be nice to take a break. I want to take a break from randomly generated anything for a while. I mean, it was fun to start out with and really build upon. And 2 of the games I'm currently working on, Ouroboros and Bumbo, are both randomly generated. And I would really, I don't know, I long for it sounds weird because I never thought I'd say it, I long for the linear game again. Yeah. And I might venture back into that, but I still have so many, like Ryan was saying, I want that game that I can play forever. That's what I want, and I want that more than anything. And I still have a bunch of designs for what those games could be potentially, and I'd like to explore those, but there's such an illusion with random generation. Like you on the surface, it seems like, oh, it'll be easy and quick, because it's, you just build some content and you just randomize it. And it turns out, especially with platforming elements, like games like Spelunky and stuff like that, you end up having to make so much more content than you ever would a linear game. It's insane.
I can see that.
Yeah. We got one from the Wicked Goose. It says, Edmund, what is your favorite game that you have developed?
I think Isaac is my favorite game that I've developed at this point. I mean, that and Meat Boy are my two tops. Design-wise, like I'm very proud of both of those designs. But you never know. It took me a little while to really be okay with what Isaac is, because I think originally when I set out to make wasn't the game that people played. I guess similar to how Minecraft was. I think I really wanted to make a more strategic structure, and it ended up being a slot machine. And it's taken me years to be okay with that, and then understand that that's still fun design. And maybe Bumbo is kind of my answer to that. Like, Bumbo is definitely a more strict strategic, randomly generated game that I could maybe like fix the mistakes that I think I might have made, even though I don't think Isaac is a mistake. I mean, I accept it for what it is. Isaac is a bizarro slot machine where somebody can literally know almost nothing about the game and just blast through it the first time they ever play. And that's not really a bad design, because I've seen that happen. Like, I have friends that have never played the game before, and then they're like, I'll give them a copy. They play it, and they're like, oh yeah, I beat Mom first try. I can't ever get there again. But that taste, they got that taste.
Yeah.
They know that they can do it, and they've seen a little bit. And it's just that little bit of magic that can kind of like bring things through that can't really happen in a chess-based strategy environment where, you just become so good at it. But it's also nice to see that there are people that are so good that they just don't die. They just play forever. So, yeah.
I think a really interesting thing is sort of incidental that came out of Isaac. I made this parallel. It feels a little bit like The Witness. You sort of start to learn this language of the item synergies and how to speak to each other in Isaac language. And surrounding myself with all these people that play it constantly is really interesting to think. If you don't know all this stuff, it sounds like you're speaking another language.
Yeah.
Some of the out of
that's
context
kinda cool.
quotes from the Isaac games are so great, man. Speaking of out of context quotes, too, I will have the Edmund McMillen "Isaac was a mistake" that was circa Roundtable December 9th, 2016.
Everything about that game was, though, like everything about that, from the concept to the, you don't even know. Like, it was literally, I want to take a break. Like, I want to take a little vacation from working on stuff. Meat Boy's done. I want to have fun again, making games and find out what that is again. And I want to go in with like total, no holds barred freedom to do whatever I want to do. I can do the weirdest themes I want to do. I can explore the weirdest mechanics and interesting things, and just sketch something up on paper that was very reminiscent of Legend of Zelda randomized, and it just kind of made itself in 3 months. Like, it's really bizarre that the original was just a quick 3-month development thing that I was going to sell to Adult Swim for, a couple grand, and that was going to be it. And then I was like, oh, well, maybe I can make some money off of it, and shopped it around to a few people, and some people really liked it. I don't even know. I don't know how many of you guys were here from the very beginning, but in the beginning, it was a hard sell. People did not like it. It was a hard sell. But eventually, over time, people warmed up to it. Once people learned the language.
Yeah, I was gonna say, once people probably understood how it worked, and
I had to plead with people to be like, listen, you're gonna die and everything's gonna be gone, but trust me, you're gonna have fun because you're gonna want to play it again. And it was like, you wouldn't think things have changed so much now, but back then, that kind of environment was so fucking hardcore that it just turned people away. And I just tried to like compare it to playing D&D, and like the funnest part of D&D for me was always rolling my character. And imagine rolling your character and then rapidly leveling them up and configuring, all the spells and stuff that you want to have for your character. That's what Isaac is. That's what I set out to do. And
that grain of an idea of like getting that rapid fire growth and kind of the satisfying feeling carries over into MOBAs as well. I think that's why MOBAs do so well nowadays too, because you get that nugget of 45 minutes of going from level 1 to level 25, get all the abilities, get your gear, game's over, and you can do it again.
Yeah. I remember playing through Diablo 2 and doing a 24-hour play of it to just max out. I think they expanded it with that, like, that guy that can turn into werewolves and bears
The
or whatever.
druid.
else.
Druid, yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, all I want to do is I would just want to max this guy out, and it took a whole day. And I remember thinking to myself, wouldn't it be cool if there was a game that just had a bunch of skill trees, and you could just max yourself out within a half an hour, 45 minutes?
We got a question from Dan Giesling.
Oh no.
Yes, how has having a daughter impacted how you develop games?
It makes me feel very guilty for working. Like, if anything, development in general, especially independent development, in order to do this, there's kind of this illusion that, you just sit down and you work really hard and, you make something good and then it comes out and does well and you're good. And it's like, no one sees that working like this has almost destroyed my marriage. I have to be very careful. It's a very careful dance of, I have to get this shit done, which means me working nonstop. The guilt of having ideas, going to dinner and having all these ideas in my head and feeling guilty that maybe I'm not paying enough attention to her or listening.
Absolutely, yeah.
There's so much there, and having a child, I'm spread very thin, and I think I've kind of accepted the fact that it's my design and ideas that kind of breathe life into the stuff that I'm working on. And I'm so used to being this just workhorse person. And I love working, and I love working constantly, and I only feel valuable when I'm working. And I'm learning to accept the fact that the reality that I do get more happiness out of being with my family than I do working on games, but I still have to work in order to be sane. I lose my fucking mind if I'm not creative. It's just how it is. And I'm not a pleasant person to be around when I'm not creating something. And I think most people close to me know that. And so yeah, it's been I'm acclimating to the environment. I'm accepting the fact that I can't do everything. I'm accepting the fact that I may need help to do these things. I may need to ask more of other people. And it's nice that I'm in a situation now that I'm financially able to pay and hire people to help me do this work, because I need to not throw away this time with my daughter and my wife. So yeah, the ideas still flow. I have sleepless nights where I feel like I need to create stuff, and I have all these ideas and I got to write them down, and just finding the balance of allowing my mind to focus on what actually matters is the dance that I'm currently doing.
Awesome.
But it's great. My daughter's great. She's fantastic. It's a whole other world. I appreciate life a lot more and a lot differently than I ever have before, and I wouldn't change it. I highly recommend, if you're going to have a baby, you wait as long as you fucking possibly can until you're with the person for a very long time, because it's a whole other adventure, and it's it's costly, and it's a whole other world.
Cool. Wait until you can siphon enough money out of your employer first to put it in the college fund.
Yeah, find out the most strategic way to steal from a company, so you can support your future with your all your goodies, your booty that you've pilfered from Blockbuster Video.
But I really relate to what you're saying, actually, because I've kind of found myself becoming a workaholic as well at the expense of my home life to some extent. And I'm kind of interested in your insight, because it's such a bummer. I try to keep at arm's length from internet reaction. But when you're busting ass all day, every day at the expense of other parts of your life, and then you come out with something and people are dismissive of it or outright angry of it, it's so hard to just be I poured so much of myself into this, and then you take it so personally, as opposed to, I don't know, maybe if you worked less you wouldn't, but it's hard to break that, and it feels very raw.
Yeah, and it's something that a lot of people don't talk about. I wish more. This is going to sound super fucking stupid, but and I'll probably get shit for this, but I think a lot of guys tend to feel only valuable when they're working, when they're providing, when they almost get off on this I'm running myself to death sort of thing. I'm this ox pulling, this I got to plow the fields, all day long.
Yeah.
Because that's my only value. and nobody really talks about it, and it kind of sucks in that respect. But yeah, it's difficult, and it is extra shitty when you sacrifice so much of yourself and your life to put something out and then have people be critical of it. But over time, I think we all probably learn to know what not to listen to and not care about. It eats away at you. Like, I've had some really, as you guys know, the last expansion release was a fucking hellish experience for me, and it was a very confusing experience. It was right when my daughter was born. I was getting no sleep at all. I was so confused, and I was so, at the same time, excited about the ARG that I was doing because I was so into it, and I felt like, oh, people are going to love this. Like, the people that are involved are going to have so much fun because I'm having fun. And it just became this mess where I think mostly it really hurt me that I felt like so many people didn't trust me, and they felt like I was being deceitful. And the internet's just like that, but I just wish people would put actions into context, like put the person who you at least assume that I am, what would I have to gain from fucking anybody over? Like, it's not really, I'm not getting money from this. I'm not going to get more money by lying or withholding. And I'm not the kind of person that would be an asshole and withhold shit because I don't like somebody, like, or what somebody said. It's not in my character. And I don't think that any piece of art that I've made in my life that anybody's played has showcased any of that personality in me, yet people would assume that I would do something like that. It's just
because it's easy for the internet to do that.
Yeah.
There's no immediate consequence for throwing shit online.
Yeah.
And they can just vent their raw feelings online and just direct it. And since you're, the head of the Isaac world, they're like, oh, fuck Ed, he did this because X, Y, and Z, when it's not the truth.
Luckily they blame Tyrone for so much now, and I love Tyrone.
Probably right.
I love Tyrone for being there. Like, Tyrone is a wall when it comes to that stuff. He's just like, "Fuck you!" Like, he doesn't fucking care. He doesn't.
You guys have taken on like good cop, bad cop personas. Like,
Absolutely.
It makes my life a lot easier, and he's been really great to work with. And if it wasn't for him, this shit wouldn't have gone down at all. Like, it would have just been a shitty Flash game. And I wouldn't have been able to make another expansion because of it.
Can you talk about the ARG for a bit for those that may not have really followed up with all that?
Sure. Yeah, I can try to talk in great detail of what I can remember from the beginning, but again, it's super fucking fuzzy. Basically, At the end of development, during development, I always joked around with the guys, and I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do an ARG? Well, let's do an ARG. Let's do something cool. And it was like, okay, well, what if we do like a secret character? And at like the midway point, we started planning this secret character that was going to get unlocked when you maxed out the greed machine. And I thought, oh wait, this is a great opportunity to do an ARG to help unlock this thing. Like, it's a community thing, and I can actually like write an ending, because that's what it was. Like, the ARG was supposed to be an ending that was outside of the game, like this really creepy, weird, you get to hear Dad's voice, and the stuff that people don't even talk about it because I guess it's not in the game, and it's no one thinks about it. But it's like you realize that Matthias, the voice of the narrator, is actually his father's voice. Like, his father is narrating the intro, and Isaac's body is buried somewhere. Like, all these little pieces of the story's puzzle that I thought would be so cool to have people physically dig up Isaac's body and then have his body, which is the keeper's body, become a character in the game. And what happened was, in the midst of all that, so I'm tending to a newborn baby and trying to do this ARG, and the guys are getting the game ready for launch and putting everything out. At some point in time, I was like, oh shit, make sure that the keeper isn't visible in the game because people just hack it out. And the keeper was tied to I think like 10 unlockable items or whatever. And when they went in to comment that stuff out, somehow a bunch of items got commented out. That's all that happens.
Right.
And when the game launched, people were like, wait, they said this many items and there's only this many items. And I'm reading that, not really paying a lot of attention because, baby, and I'm working on this ARG, and I'm like, oh yeah, they don't know because it's the 10 items from the keeper. Like, I wasn't doing the math. I wasn't looking and seeing how many items were actually missing. And then it took days into the ARG, and I'm constantly telling people, don't worry, just wait it out. It'll be fine. Not knowing that they're actually talking about other items that weren't in the game. And then I suddenly like, where the fuck are these items? And I'm going through the debug, and I'm trying to spawn all these items that I remember putting in and testing, and there was like nothing here. Like, where did these all go? Well, fucking who knows? I still don't know. I still don't know where they all went, but I know that they got pulled out with the keeper. And I just wanted to finish the ARG, and I didn't want to spoil the fun. And it was kind of this dance of like trying to tell people to just trust me. And I'm trying to not break the fourth wall and say, there's an ARG happening, and you unlock a character, and there's stuff tied to the character. Yeah. And everybody's just telling me that, like, I woke up to, oh my God, I felt like the world fucking hated me. And I was like, what did I do? I'm trying to do something cool, and everybody hates me. But it lasted, a few hours, and I guess, there's a residual misinformed people who still think for whatever reason. The rumors got out that I was mad at the community for something, and I was going to get back at them by withholding
exacting your vengeance, right?
I don't even understand. There's still people to this day that are like, when are you going to do the blog post that explains everything? It's like, well, I've explained it a few times already, and it's fucking tired, and I don't need to explain it to you in the words that you want to hear it.
Yeah.
So, but man, ARG itself was fun. I really
That's good.
enjoyed
That's
it.
good.
It's just wild to think about how much like malice that people have attributed to all these things that were essentially on your end, just like, yeah, like I had a baby. Nothing like this crossed my mind, and there's people freaking typing up a shitstorm.
Quinn, you're some sort of mad genius, man. That's a little bit of a compliment, right?
It's very humanizing, and it just like it brings perspective to the whole situation. It's like we've all lost our minds sometimes when this shit gets crazy.
Yeah.
And like I can say, like, when the expansion comes out, there will probably be some minor issues with it, and we will fix it as soon as we fucking possibly can. We're testing the hell out of it. We have more time to test now since it's gonna, basically the game's finished now. Just need to add some more greed rooms to it and just rigorously test it. Some items may get modded a bit if it turns out that they're totally unfun because they are just a walk in the park. Or maybe some items will get a buff. Who fucking knows? I don't know. I think this time we did a pretty good job, though. I have a bad feeling about there's an item that spawns flies and doubles flies. I think that item is probably busted as fuck. There's probably a few busted items in the game, but whatever. You'll have fun with the busted items, and if they're too stupidly busted, we might do something. And then Reddit will get upset about it
Then they can mod it and they can do it themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly how they want it.
It is nice to get to that point where it's like, if you really hate this part of the game, then fucking mod it and play it.
Yeah.
I don't care. Make a better game. That's totally fine. If you can make a better game than I made, I will fucking put it in officially.
Like legitimately now.
Had to be 10 charges.
Well, we got real there. That felt good.
Yeah. And before we continue on, I'm just going to go ahead and take a nice big swig here.
Me too.
Delicious, tasty beverage.
Where's mine?
I'm sorry, you're not part
You didn't
of
get the package? Oh, no. This is
I got a bunch of empty water bottles.
That's okay. You can do that too. Yeah.
Somebody yelled at my wife the other day because there was a water bottle in the background of a baby walking around, and they were like, I used to respect you, but now I don't because I see you have something called like life water in the background. It's like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck is pure life water, and why is that a thing that you're upset about? So like we spent like the whole day Googling like, why are people upset about pure life water? What is going on? And it's like, it's because pure life water is made by Hershey or some, I don't know, fucking thing. Like some company that's bad because they took water from some indigenous tribe, and we're bad people now because it wasn't that. It was fucking Kirkland water from Costco. Costco never hurt nobody. Everybody's a fucking activist now. I swear to God, it's fucking tired.
Tell us about Madrinas.
Yeah. Well, anyway, real quick, let me get back to this. Let's see. Thank you very much to Madrinas for sponsoring the December episodes of Roundtable Live. You can go to madrinascoffee.com and use the code RoundtableCoffee and get 40% off. That's a 40. You can get 40%. It's looking like this, something like that is 40. And you can save a whole bunch of money on some coffee. You can also go to madrinascoffee.com/roundtable and enter yourself into a giveaway to win coffee for a year. An entire year's supply of Madrinas, all for you. We've also got a hefty hefty supply of coffee for giveaway for each of us. The four of us will individually be able to give some coffee out to y'all too. That'll be more details about that in the coming weeks. I'd love to give you some coffee. I'm sure Madrid.
Lomo in chat said he'll get you some coffee.
Absolutely, he
shower
will.
you in coffee.
No question at all. You email Shlomo, he will send you fucking boxes of coffee. I guarantee it. But
I'm just happy they're not associated with that pure water.
I can't be.
I don't want to get yelled at online.
That's right. But yeah, thank you very much to Madrinas. Again, it's madrinascoffee.com/shop and madrinascoffee.com/roundtable. You can go, you can use the Roundtable coffee code, 40% off. It's awesome. Thank you very much to them for sponsoring the show.
Thank you, Madrinas.
Thank you, Madrinas.
Madrinas boys.
It's so good, man. It's tasty coffee.
It does look good.
It is good. Okay.
Dude, I had that same story about the Nestle Pure Life water, but instead I offhandedly said, like, I'm going to buy a Soda Stream, I think, because I drink a lot of sparkling water. I'd like to have a Soda Stream. Not knowing, apparently, like, they're owned by the Israeli government and manufactured, like, in the West Bank. And the amount of comments I got over that was like, Jesus Christ. Like, I do get that it's a serious issue, but at the same time, I just want sparkling water. Like,
there's just a way to go about it. There's a way to be like, hey, did you know this? I just thought I'd let you know that that company may not be the best company. Here's a link. Not just like, hey, you asshole. You're a horrible person. Yeah. I'm better than you because I know something.
It's Occam's razor. Why don't you just assume they don't know instead of assuming malice and thinking they're out to, like, destroy the world over it?
That's the fucking story of my life.
All right. We're going to do a couple more questions for Edmund and then knock out the remaining items in our docket here. So
I want to know, you know what I'm interested in? I'm really interested in what you guys thought of that last Guardian. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, definitely talk about that. I was going to save it for the end. It's the big meaty one. So,
well, good thing I hyped it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I got to tell you, like, before we get into it though, I am heartbroken. I really am. Like, I was hook, line, and sinker for Last Guardian too, and it's.
We told you it was going to be you were hoping too much, and you're going to be broken.
And I thought I kept it in check too, but yeah, okay, I'm teasing too much. We'll
it's what happens when the people that make the games that were good leave the company.
Yeah.
And do other things.
Yeah.
That's what happens.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, here's a good question.
18 quintillion planets to explore.
Oh, poor Bear, though.
Here's a great question.
I wanted this game so much.
I gotta turn on the dime. Here's a question for Edmund. Which sample pack of Madrinas would you suggest? I'm interested.
Give me the options.
Oh, you got yourself delicious cappuccino. You got 2X dark roast, vanilla, mocha, cold brew with milk. Oh, so many delicious things.
I'm gonna go with those.
There you go. Every single one.
You on the podcast, sir.
We had one. I'm sorry I missed you a little while back. I think it was Rattata. It was the Pokemon Rattata. Actually, had a question for you in the chat.
You sure it wasn't a Ditto in disguise?
See, okay? Have you been playing Pokemon Go?
Yeah, I'm back in.
Okay.
I'm ready to fucking go. I'm one of those people. I posted that I caught a fucking Ditto, and everybody's like, dude, that game was so fucking last week. Fuck you.
There's still millions of people who play it. Fuck them.
Like, no, dude, say what you want about that game. It may barely be a game, but that game was probably one of the best gaming experiences I had of the year. Like, it was a memorable, fun, social experience, which was badass. I totally dig it. I liked it more than the Pokemon games. It was, and I'm raring to go again. I'm down. I just hope enough of my friends are down with it as well, because, yeah, like walking the pier, the Santa Cruz Pier, at fucking 2 a.m. and seeing hundreds of people.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow, like being a part of something that was so weird and such a viral insanity. And it's just, I don't know, very cool. Mm-hmm. And I just hope they add shinies. That's all I care about.
Sure
Give me something more rare to look forward to than a Ditto.
Well, everybody's caught a Ditto by now, though, right? Because they got the.
My wife hasn't caught a Ditto.
She hasn't. Oh, okay.
She hates me for it. I caught 2.
Mm-hmm.
Both Rattatas. And segue back into Rattata.
Yeah. So, he wanted to know, do you design the games primarily around the story first or around the particular gameplay mechanics that you're focused on?
It really depends on what I want to do. Sometimes it's like a rough mechanic, like with Bumbo. I really want to do a randomly generated puzzle environment type game, and then I kind of designed around that. Maybe I do. I guess I do. I usually come up with the very base design first, and then I think what would be cool. And nobody's caught on to the fact that I just keep writing the same story over and over and over again. But you guys will soon catch on to that. I'm a one-trick pony when it comes to writing from, loose reality and my own weird obsessions. So, yeah, with Isaac, it was, hey, I'm making the binding. I'm making Legend of Zelda, and how did Miyamoto? He did it based on his childhood, so I'm going to do it based on my childhood. What was my childhood? It was a bunch of feeling completely out of place and weird around my odd, overly religious family, and ta-da! No. But yeah, it's easy for me to get inspired by certain events or things in my life that happen and be like, I want to explore it. The hippie art side of it is quite literally I usually go in with a theme that is interesting for me because I'd like to think more about it. I'd like to explore it more, and I usually come out the other end with a more well-rounded perspective of things because I really went in having Isaac be a very critical, anti-religious theme, and I came out the other side feeling, hey, if it weren't for the creativity that is put into Christianity, the amount of pretty awesome imagery that the fire and brimstone, revelations, all that sort of stuff is super inspiring. And I can't deny that I was very inspired by a lot of that stuff. So it's not all bad, mostly bad, but not all bad. And, that's usually the most inspired ideas. I come out the other end feeling like I have a better idea of what I'm talking about, I guess. So.
Good. Real quick, I just want to make sure that we didn't totally go offline just now because shit's breaking. I think we're good. Okay, we're good. Anyway.
Yeah, it was just Tyrone messing us up.
Yeah.
God damn it, Tyrone!
Getting the back end, man. Okay, I think that is pretty much it for the chat questions. I did real quick just want to ask, is there any new info for Ouroboros that you want to talk about?
Wait till next year.
Okay. Right
next year, and I think we'll probably start blogging more about that. I made the mistake of teasing too much too early and not realizing the workload that was going to be finishing the expansion.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think next year we'll have a lot of interesting stuff. There's a lot of bubbling designs. I need to learn to shut the fuck up about what I'm doing until it's ready to come out. It's very it's hard.
We're not doing you any favors hard. Here, I guess, are
You're
we?
Excited about it, so you want to talk about it.
You get so excited.
Yeah.
You do. You get so excited about the things that you're working on, and you want to share it because then it makes it real, And
yeah.
You're not in your head about it. And then, then you're like, oh, this isn't going to be out for another year. What am I doing? But yeah, I'll learn eventually. Not be the guy that's finish your own fucking games. It's that's all I hear. I post something about Afterbirth and somebody says, well, why don't you make a new game? Somebody else is like, why don't you fix the other games that you said you were going to make?
There's an even spread of those people too, right?
That's all it is.
Yeah.
Everybody who follows me on Twitter hates my fucking guts.
I think we all feel that way.
Yeah. I mean, that's what it's for.
Yep.
Especially Mathis, though.
Yeah,
God.
absolutely.
Dude, I'm gonna come clean. I made the mistake of going into the last Blade Ballet episode. Everybody was like, this episode is so much better without Mathis. I'm like,
Oh,
yep.
that hurts.
Jesus Christ.
Yep. It's because I decided to play asshole robot the whole time. Even though Rob picks the asshole robot for the whole episode.
This is such a niche thing, man. Nobody knows what we're talking about.
It too, actually.
Well, you're like our Tyrone. You take all the criticism
I do.
so that the rest of us can be absolved.
And that's why I'm branching away. I'm like, I need to do something away, do judgment, separate, keep it away from the group.
All right, one more quick one real quick. Not exactly gamer related. Lexi wants to know, Ed, what's your favorite music release this year?
This year, let me look and see what I'm listening to.
Mm-hmm. What are you into? What's your style?
I like, I guess just alternative rock music for the most part.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh yeah, this year's pick is the Weezer White Album, which was probably I think of it as the Blue Album, Pinkerton, and the White Album, and I will throw all the rest in the garbage and walk away. And this album, I mean, it's really surprising for a band like Weezer, who just went, I don't know the fuck where, so far away from their original stuff, and then suddenly make an album that felt like it just came out right after the Blue Album. It's like, wow, congratulations. Like, I mean, one of the last albums that impressed me a lot was Queens of the Stone Age, like Clockwork, which was another one that was like, wow, you've made so many albums, and now I think you've made your best one. Like, that's fucking sweet. It's nice when a band has been around for so long and then they release something, because usually bands tend to just, peter out. But yeah, I'd say Weezer. I listen to a lot of the new Radiohead, and there's this album by Emma Ruth Rundle called "Marked for Death," which I've been listening to a lot of, which is super fucking depressing.
Emma Ruth Rundle?
I listen to really depressing. Yeah, it's like I guess an indie rock group. She was part of a group called the Marriages, Marriages band.
Oh, she was in Red Sparrows. Oh, that's cool. Sorry, this is a very niche topic.
Now, chat needs to know. This is a quick question. When you eat fish and chips, forks or hands?
This is important.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Incredibly important.
I use my hands.
Damn it! No.
Right.
You said that as though it wasn't like there was an option, right?
Not fish sticks. Maybe you misheard. Fish and chips.
But the fish and chips are fucking fried to fuck. Like a French fry.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's like
And you can pick them up. It's no big deal.
You eat French fries with a fork?
Nah, it's too late.
I understand where you're coming from, but I refuse to answer the question on the grounds that it may incriminate myself.
I'm just using basic logic here. It is a giant fried object, much like a fried potato.
Yeah.
It's completely encased. There's no reason why I can't pick it up and dip it and eat it.
But if there was like a 8-inch long French fry, I wouldn't use my hands. I would use a fork.
What?
It's too unwieldy.
Long fucking French fry up with a fork? Isn't that
If it's 8 inches long, yeah, like the piece of fish is too long.
I want to see how you eat a hot dog. You hot dog in the bun and you pick it up with a fork.
I mean, if you pick up an 8-inch French fry, you need 2 hands for support. You're going to put it in
No,
the
That's a big French
Fork
fry.
it in
man.
the middle, because if you pick it up from one end, the moment is going to cause it to bend.
A
And
hot dog bun is made for your hand.
Yes,
Big
exactly.
piece of fish that is fried. That's
bread. That's bread.
The atheist nightmare.
There is literally a bun, a fried bun over the fish.
It's not bread, it's batter. It's battered, not breaded.
Bread. It's fried bread.
We've been talking about like the fragility of the human spirit and like getting into real deep shit today, and you are way more impassioned about eating fish and chips with your hands than you were about anything else.
You made my eye twitch with that answer.
Well, what's great about it is that everybody is just aghast that the other side exists. Like, as soon as we came to this revelation, it's like, it's split 50-50, roughly, but each camp didn't know the other one even existed.
Yep, I'm with you.
Oh,
Everybody
listen
I've
to
ever had
that
fish and chips with has always used a fork. Like,
Yeah.
Did you guys see when I polled everybody my month of polls?
I did, yes.
Yes,
So the most eye-opening one for me was the how do you wipe?
I thought you were talking about magic card polls for some reason. No, you're talking about the online polls. Okay, yeah.
Standing versus sitting.
Like, no, it wasn't just standing versus sitting. It was like, do you reach between your legs? Do you stand up? Do you go from the side? Do you go from the back? Nobody talks about this sort of stuff at all, but we all do it totally differently, and most of us stand up, which is like...
Yeah, that is very surprising.
Not
Welcome
me.
to the premise of the NLSS.
That's like the whole point of our Twitch show. Yeah.
Pretty much it.
You know what's weird is that I can't I don't know how I do it. I'm trying to think about how I do. I need to like wait until I go to the
gotta do
bathroom and then.
Follow
Oh man, I know
Do
how
it.
it's not
Do
covered.
it right now.
I think I'm a between the legs guy.
You've been telling me you've been subconsciously wiping your ass for 27 years? How in the world have you been doing that?
Never
It's an
thought of-
automatic behavior, like breathing. Like when you're wiping your ass, you're not like, "This is how I'm going to do it." Do it.
There's also the whole logic of, okay, nobody wants to talk about this, but we all have to look up at the toilet paper.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
you need to know
yeah.
if you efficiently wiped.
Absolutely.
Or if you wiped too much, because then it gets a little red. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Thank you to Madrinas for sponsoring December episodes of Roundtable Live.
Hashtag felons.
I don't know. It just seems so awkward to me if I stood up, wiped my ass, and looked at it, as opposed to
No.
like reaching between my legs, wiping efficiently, and looking.
Well, because if you're not done, if you look at the paper and you're not done, do you sit back down, or do you just?
I know when I'm done.
Oh, yeah, I know
That's
when
the interesting too.
I know when
I
I'm.
know when I'm done.
I know when I'm done too. I'm just like, it feels like it'd be hard on your knees. You know, what if you stand up and it's a longer than expected wiping session? What if you want to take a break halfway through?
What do you mean you don't know if you're done though?
Well, here's the thing.
I don't understand that.
I have a sensation of when I think. Let me put it this way: when I'm done defecating, I have a general sensation of like, this is a 1 wiper, this is a 10 wiper, right?
Yeah.
But what if you stand up and it's like that Parks and Recreation quote where he's like, it's just like a poop marker where you just keep wiping and it just keeps.
Oh yeah, the old
that happens,
peanut-
yeah.
Peanut butter butt.
Yeah. I just don't understand. Like, you could be standing for like 2 minutes.
I've never stand and wiped in my life.
Me neither.
I don't understand. And here's the other thing: is like I'm thinking of human physiology. When you sit down, your butt cheeks come apart,
Yeah.
which is ideal for the pooping situation. As soon as you stand up, it all gets like mashed together in there, right?
This is what the praying hands are for.
Look at that, right there. Oh wait, look! I've got it. Look at this. Here it is.
Oh, perfect.
Look.
Wow.
Hey, look at you're sitting down. There it is.
Of course,
Sitting
you just
down, look.
have that within arm's reach, man. Of course.
Am I done? Is it time? Is it time to
Okay,
wipe?
now
I don't
that's-
know. Here, let me stand up.
That's just offensive.
Can you narrate this for our audio-only listeners?
And you got one of these.
He's demonstrating his hands. Oh my god! I'm not a between the legs guy though. I don't do that either.
You go lean to the side.
I lean to the side. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at you when you're like 60 years old. You're gonna have like one ass cheek that is twice the size of the other one.
What, you mean it's like eroded from all
No, I mean like the one side is gonna be way stronger because it holds up his
muscular
entire
cheek.
body.
Yeah.
The other side is going to be tinted brown.
The ghost poops always get me though.
Oh,
The
yeah.
ones you do one wipe, you're like, I don't believe it. So you go.
Yeah.
Those are
Yeah.
the best, though, man. They're so satisfying.
Yeah.
It's so
The
clean
ghost
afterwards.
turds.
Great.
Yeah.
We've never done a show like this
No,
before.
yeah, it's a new format.
I got a question for you guys.
Sure.
I've been noticing this, and I always feel really stupid. You guys ever go to the bathroom, defecate, as you were,
Mm.
and then you get up, you're done, and you realize, I should have also peed.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
then you feel really stupid, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to turn back around. And this is like in a public restroom. I've had this happen. It's like, I'm going to turn back around and stand and just start peeing. And it's just like, I feel like such a fool. Why didn't I just let it all out?
That never happens for me, man. I'm always a pee first, poop later kind of guy. It's like you sit down. The first function that my body says is, okay, we have this to empty out. This is taken care of. Now we move to step 2.
I don't think I've ever shit without pissing. I don't think it's ever happened.
Yeah.
I've peed on my poop before.
If you could believe this, there's a level of anxiety where you plan the act so much that by the time you realize you needed to pee and you didn't, it's too late.
Yeah.
You got to cut your losses and walk out.
You gotta find a new bathroom, man. You're starting over.
Do you guys remember this? Do you guys remember being a kid and doing the pee laser slice through the poop?
No, but I feel like I missed out. Like that would be fantastic. I never did that.
Oh well, that's like
I did that.
amazing, and you should.
I did
No, it's
that.
never too I'll say it's never too late. Fuck it.
You
Like,
just the harder you push, the more like zoom.
I think that's simultaneously a sign of like a really healthy stool and like really developed Kegel muscles. So that's like you're 2 for 2 on that one.
Dude, from the waist down, I'm a fucking god.
All right, hold on. I'm casting out the line. I'm reeling it back in. Here we go. We're back on the show. We're back on the show, everybody.
You were off the show?
How you doing? No, yeah, we teleported to a different show.
Okay.
Now we're back. Okay. Ryan,
Yes.
welcome to the world of esports.
Thanks.
You are esports now. It's a brand new facet of this world that I don't know if I'm ready for, but I want you to tell me all about it.
When are you deleting your YouTube channel?
Yeah. That's the next step, right?
Between the hours of 2 to 9 Pacific Standard Time on Friday, December 2nd, I was a participant in Amazon's Champions of Fire esports tournament to prove that mobile casual games can also be competitive. And yeah, that's pretty cool. It's airing in a 2-hour edited version on CBS Sports this Monday. If you want to,
Oh, no.
I'm really excited to see what kind of tweets I get after that.
Is Dan going to host it?
I hope he does, honestly.
Great.
I actually
You told
forgot
me-
it was going to be on TV for a bit. Now I'm really
Well,
excited.
You know how like whenever Here's the Storm or something is on ESPN, there's all these tweets like, you know, I didn't sign up to the sports channel to watch this. I cannot wait to see what kind of tweets I get.
When they're watching Disney Frogger?
Yeah, well, it's Disney Crossy Road, actually, Matt.
How dare you?
Yeah, and actually, like, I have to say, I would be a part of the tournament again. It was a lot of fun. It was a little silly, but it was silly. It was self-aware. You know, they weren't like, we're going into this like it's going to be a Dota 2, you know, $10 million prize pool. They're like, it's mostly just for fun. Little high pressure, you know, because there was real money on the line, but it was mostly a really good time.
What place did you come in?
I came top 8. So I won my first round. There's 16. I won my first round and lost my second round to Cobalt Streak. And
Honorable loss there.
It was close too.
I choked, honestly. Like, I'll just be straight up with you. Like, I should have won the third game that we played. He was going to roast me in balloons no matter what. I should have beaten him in Crossy Road, but I choked a little bit. And that's okay, because he went on to make it to the finals, and I was really happy for him. But it was really fun. Like, because of the fact that none of us were known for playing these games, it made it nice, because it's not like anybody was coming in with necessarily an enormous advantage, and we all just kind of had fun. It would have been nice to have like one extra day at the end to hang out with people now that we didn't hate each other, but apart from that, it was...
How great would it have been is like right at the end, they introduced like somebody who's been professionally playing these mobile games for like 3 years just to compete.
Oh, okay. That's like the ultimate challenge.
That was Box. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so I heard a rumor, and this sounds like something that was just made up and came through the grapevine, but that he was practicing on a stationary bike to simulate the effect of playing under pressure.
I don't know if that's true, but it could be.
That's kind of crazy, though, but I wouldn't put it past him. He was on fire, though, man. He was killing it.
He was like an order of magnitude or two better than everybody else, I think. The only person that I think could have beat him was Sky, who had also practiced a ton, but Cobalt, you know, he probably could have won the first round of the 5, like the pool round, but even then, I think he probably would have lost.
What did first place win? How much?
First place was $30,000, which is crazy, and second was 15. So it was a serious payday.
Yeah, and you and Cobalt went and celebrated at Gordon Ramsay's restaurant, right?
That's correct.
Not
One of
macaroni.
the 19 Gordon Ramsay restaurants in Las Vegas,
Where he
but-
operates each and every one of them by himself, right? That's the big sell to it.
Have you ever seen The Prestige?
Yeah.
That's Hugh Jackman is actually based on Gordon Ramsay in that movie. So he clones himself every night, and then after the dinner service closes, he shoots all of the clones in the head. But he doesn't know, like, am I the clone or am I the original Gordon Ramsay?
Explains a lot.
Real quick, I'm casting the line back out here because the
Okay,
clone
yeah,
comment just
sorry.
reminded me.
Got a little silly.
Edmund, would you fuck your own clone?
I don't think I'm that attracted to myself.
Okay.
I agree with that.
Definitely not bragging about myself to myself. So no.
I fuck myself. Whatever.
All right, continue. Sorry, we just
All right,
we
I
had
have
to
a
make
question
sure.
about the tournament, if I could.
Okay, sure.
I wanted to know what happened with the 8-ball game, where it was winning the roulette a bunch of times, and then for a while it was just Crossy Road.
Well, okay, that was you have to connect to the servers to play 8-ball. The rest of them, except for balloons, you could play offline. But I guess like mini clips servers were having downtime or maintenance or something. So we basically, Edmund, what happened is there was like a roulette wheel, and then it picked the mobile games that you would play against one another. But one of the ones that it brought up had technical problems for like the first hour or two. So yeah, we had to like play something else.
They didn't lampshade it though, so like they said the pool game won, and then when they went to play, it was just a different game, and nobody ever talked about it.
I have a, they probably ponied up some money to have their games be played. So they probably didn't want them going like, "Hey, this one doesn't work."
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
I mean, that's the truth of the situation.
I was just curious, honestly.
Honestly, it's not a bad game. It just the servers were down. Like that can happen to anything. So
Didn't somebody accidentally hit an ad?
That was my favorite part. Yeah, somebody
Yeah, that was against
accidentally
Ryan.
tapping the ad in the middle of the game.
They gave us 2 instructions for a couple of these games. They're like, you have a chance after you lose to keep playing if you watch an ad. Don't watch the ad because this is like we're gonna put this on TV. It's being streamed live to the internet. Don't watch the ad, and don't ever hit continue because then you can like artificially run up the score, and it's a little unfair. In the first round, my opponent watched the ad, so lost 30 seconds of his like 3-minute timer, and then continued. And they were like, "Is this okay?" It ended up being fine, but really, like, I probably should have lost the first round, but. He watched an ad and then accidentally broke the rules, so was, I don't know if disqualified, but like in a bad position. And then in the third round, the game that he was better at had the servers go down, and they gave me my like lights out game. So,
What was the ad for?
I don't know, because I was in the zone.
It was, it was pure water.
Yeah. Everybody in the audience was like, "Oh," and I was like, "No." Get the power pallet. Get the power pallet. Yeah.
In my mind, I just see this whole experience being an overhead camera looking down on your thumbs.
It sort of was.
You're
There was
not
like.
wrong.
There was this was like a 6 or 7 figure level production for real. There were like stage managers, like multiple cameras set up.
That's so cool.
Casters.
That's so surreal and bizarre and cool.
Have you ever seen like Christopher Guest movies like Best in Show or?
Yeah, of course.
It was very, very similar to that from my perspective, where it's like this super niche like thing that you would make fun of from the outside, but then take in like super seriously on the production side, which was honestly it was fun to be a part of.
Dude, if Eugene Levy was just in that tournament, they could have just built it as one of their movies.
Pretty much, honestly.
Were there some superstars there?
Well, I mean, in terms of, at the VIP after party, Tony Hawk was there.
They're only doing 900?
Chuck the Iceman Liddell, the UFC middleweight champion. Also, he was probably in a movie of some sort. I don't know. This seems like the kind of guy. But I didn't stay at that for very long.
Awesome. That's hilarious.
So that's going to air, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to watch that because it's silly. I'm aware, like if I get tweets that are like, "Hey, this is stupid," pretty much got me. But like, and I had a good time. Production was great. I hope the final product turns out awesome. And the other thing is like, I don't really feel ashamed of it because we got our trip paid for. And we weren't really shilling for the games, although I think Pac-Man 256 is actually like quite good, and I like Disney Crossy Road as well. And I would probably like Balloons if I wasn't super garbage at it. And beyond that, we had a chance to compete for some real money, so it was cool. And I would do it again for sure if they offered me.
Hell yeah. Awesome.
Plus, I got to keep the Amazon Fire tablet.
Ooh, they gave you a tablet? That's dope.
Yeah, they gave everyone in the audience a tablet as well.
Wow. Okay.
Well, you don't feel too special now, huh?
No, but mine was stolen, so.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, Jennifer. That's now Kate's iPad. Or Kate's Amazon Fire tablet. That's
there you go.
Whoops.
You just lost your invite to year 2, man, right there.
My mistake.
All right, Nick.
Yo.
Dive in, baby. Let's talk about the Resident Evil 7 demo.
All right. You guys remember like 6 months ago, I was talking about the Resident Evil 7 demo, basically just a little introduction to some of the gameplay mechanics from the new first-person iteration of Resident Evil. And in the space of this time, from the summer to now, they've released 2 additional updates. I did talk about the last one when it happened, but this is the final update. The game's due out at the end of January, and we're in December right now, so it's a month away, roughly. They have finished the demo. It is now completed. Now, there was a lot of speculation about if this demo was actually an undercover ARG. As it turned out, no, just wasn't. We all thought it was, and we spent like hundreds of hours collectively trying to figure out secrets of why the lamp was blinking and how that corresponded to coordinates in Arizona and like
Oh god, man.
kind of newspapers, and none of that was anything, but no biggie. Anyway, what they did was they released the finished version, which now has an additional wing to the house, and that wing includes a gross bathroom filled with it's got a bloody tub with a bike in it. It's got a hallway that goes down to the end where there's then a basement. And as you might expect, in basements and horror games, bad things happen. And we're introduced to our very first combat instance with an enemy called the Molder. So this is big news because prior to this, there'd been no actual combat. It had just been walk around, look at stuff, pick up items, watch the VHS tape, talk about not doing ADR, and then end the game, with no conclusive ending. Now, though, there's actually 3 different endings you can get to the thing.
In the demo, man.
Proper endings.
Yeah.
And what this does is it basically turns this into a miniature game all unto itself with its own little arc. So the big crux to it, and I guess this is a little spoilery, so if you're worried about me spoilering the demo, I guess don't listen for now. But if you get hit by that molder when you're in the basement trying to grab the key to the attic, it'll infect you with this mold disease. And as you try to leave the house with the attic key, you slowly get overtaken by mold. And you try to climb up the ladder to leave, and you rot to death as you're going up the ladder. And then Family Man comes up and stomps you. So that's the infected ending. That's you lose there.
I love that name for the villain, by the way.
Yeah, well, his name is actually Jack Baker. So
Oh, I like Family Man.
Family Man's cool, though. Yeah, it makes me think of Guile, and that's always fun. So then step 2 is you do the same thing, go to the basement, get the key, only this time you don't get hit by the molder at all, so you don't get infected. This allows you another option, though, to go on to the true ending. See, normally you would just go up to the attic and leave, and then you escape, and they say you're crazy because you took LSD at one point in your life, and all the shit you tried to say to the police that happened didn't happen, you're discredited, and basically the whole demo is rendered meaningless story-wise. But there's a third thing you can do, and that's what the dummy finger was all about. So we finally have the conclusive answer.
Oh, boy.
And you're never going to believe it. Actually is really exciting what they did with it.
I believe it, yeah.
There's an end table in that hallway, that new hallway, and you open it up and there's a blank journal, like a little notebook that opens. And what they did is, as you look at certain points in the environment or you click on certain objects, you'll hear a little ghost girl laugh. And that's tied into this whole little miniature sub-story that happens. And when you hear the ghost girl laugh, it'll put in a sentence into your empty notebook. And that's a hint as to where you're supposed to point the dummy finger.
Ooh.
Now you got to go point the finger at the thing and then find the next laughing point, which then puts another sentence in the book. And you do that 5 times, and it lets you into one more secret, ultra-secret room with a special item that I won't spoil that actually gets carried over to the final game.
Oh,
so there is an actual ultimate revelation and a gestalt moment to the end of the Resident Evil 7 demo. Now, granted, the final true ending does not change the actual ending, but you do get the item that you didn't get prior.
That's cool.
So it was very exciting. I spent about 7 hours uncovering it all. I needed some hints because honestly, it was really obscure, some of the stuff they wanted you to do. Really obscure. Like they had you at one point turning backward at a certain place to look at it. And you had to use the quick turn, you hold circle and hit down, and it caused you to just spin 180.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do that, you just don't get that hint.
Interesting.
So you're not going to find this stuff easily unless you look on Reddit or watch a video or something. And I encourage you, take some time and try and figure it out if you can, because it's real cool. This is probably my favorite demo that I've ever been involved in. That I've never spent 30 hours in a goddamn demo before. And I actually walked away from it going, wow, that was actually really cool. And it was like its own little game. So whoever made that demo, whatever component of Capcom, I would love to see you make an Escape the Room full game out of that concept themed with Resident Evil, because they did a really great job with it.
Yeah. That is extremely encouraging, given how much I know you've invested into this. To have that kind of proper payout is really encouraging.
Yeah, I was expecting to be really frustrated or something. Granted, some of the puzzles were kind of frustrating, but ultimately it felt rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's free.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm interested. I haven't been interested in a Resident Evil game since 4, so
Yeah.
Some of the best atmosphere in any horror game I've ever played. I definitely recommend give it a look.
Now, you mentioned playing
comes out
the...
next month.
Yep, end of January.
Sweet.
You mentioned playing the Resident Evil 4 demo a lot too, right, Edmund?
Oh yeah, I played the fuck out of that. I borrowed the GameStop demo when we would get off work, and yeah, that demo had one of the best scenes in the game, which was the semi-randomly generated mob scene where you go into the town and you get to meet the baghead chainsaw guy and all the other zombie type people, and you get to just run around and survive for a certain amount of time, which I thought was by far the best part of the game. I wish the whole game was like that. I don't know why they don't do that. It was just so literal survival horror. And it played so well, like just scrambling in, closing a door, pushing something up against the door to buy more time, getting to the rooftop, knocking off ladders so the guys don't climb up after you. And then once you're overwhelmed, you got to jump off and run somewhere else and hope that you don't get fucked over.
Right.
I think they would say probably the challenge modes in Resident Evil 5 kind of played a little bit like that, although probably just more with there's no overarching story. It's just like, here's a mission, you try and complete it, and that's the end. But the gameplay, I think, was sort of reminiscent.
I definitely dug that. But what you're describing sounds super interesting. I'm down with pure, theme setup, eeriness, and all that sort of stuff. So
It's got a very Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe, and they actually do it in a way that doesn't feel just straight up derivative. So I really...
It's Resident Evil finally going back to confining to like one location, like a really creepy house and in the middle of nowhere. And it's not like Resident Evil 5 or 6 where you're jumping from location to location. It became like an action movie, which I freaking hated. But yeah, I'm excited for 7 as well.
Should mention the demo is also coming to Steam in a couple weeks too, so you can try it out soon.
Is the game coming to PC too?
What were you playing your demo on?
Yes, I was playing it on PS4. It was an exclusive for PS Plus members.
It hit Xbox One today.
Oh, okay. So it's nearly completely rolled out then.
Do they allude to the full game being like the demo, or?
It's been a subject of debate, honestly. There were some Capcom community reps that were saying it absolutely wasn't, and then it kind of came out that maybe it was. There's some story elements that tie together with the demo, but I don't believe it's necessarily beyond just gameplay core mechanics, and then those like thematic ties.
Well, I wonder if they'll include the demo in the game.
Sorry?
I wonder if they'll include the demo in the game.
Oh, I don't think so, no. I think this is kind of its own little sub-story.
I think it's its own sub-story, but they've already shown 8 minutes of the gameplay. It is for all first person. It is going to be in like a house. And Welcome to the Family Man is like, I guess, hunting you almost through the entire game. Like he's always like following you and you can hear him walking around.
Right.
And he's like, he'll bust through walls, try and get you.
But the theme is a bit more action-y in the proper game, as far as I understand, where the demo is very much like a seventh guest, like walk around and explore puzzle kind of thing.
Okay.
Hell yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah, Resident Evil 7 coming around next month. It's exciting. Let's talk about The Last Guardian. Let's do it.
All right. I want to know why you're disappointed, Bear.
Yes, so...
What were you expecting and what did you get?
I have been thinking about how I feel about this game since I finished it last night. And I want to start by talking about what I like about it. Because there is quite a bit...
How long did it take for you to finish?
Took 11 and a half hours, maybe like 12 hours.
Well, that's some meat for a game like that.
It was a lot longer than I thought it was going to be, but unfortunately I don't think that's a good thing. And I'll talk about why I feel that way. So, first of all, the positives. I think it's honestly one of the most beautifully made games I've ever seen.
It is gorgeous.
Graphically, cinematically speaking, it's amazing. It's incredible. The character, the scenery, Trico himself, the animation quality is unreal. It's so good. Trico, like every feather on him is its own entity, you know? Like they put so much time and effort into making him so captivating and lifelike, and he looks incredible.
This is probably why the game runs like ass.
Yes, I'm
Are you
sure.
doing no spoilers for this?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm still playing it. So
Okay.
don't.
Yeah. We'll go
same.
spoiler free. Yeah. Spoiler free. But yeah, no, that I'm pretty damn sure that's a big factor in what makes the frame rate chug along. But I'm trying to keep on the positive, so we're gonna stay with the the good stuff right now. I love Trico. I fell in love with him, man. Like he was great. He behaves so much like a real creature, which is good and bad in some instances. But as far as the theme and him just as a character, he was great. I loved him. He was so much fun and really he reminded me of my dog so much, which was so cool for me. But yeah, that is in a nutshell the things that I enjoyed the most about it. So
Oh, you're done.
there's others, but there's just some things that I just have to say that I gotta get off my chest about it, because this is a weird one for me, man. This has got to be like the most personal, I guess, game that we've talked about on the show, probably, because Shadow was so huge. It was so impactful for me when I was younger, and I still consider it like one of my favorite games I've ever played. So I really had my heart set on this. So here is what I did not like about The Last Guardian. I really think it should have been half the length it was. Because I think about 6 or 7 hours in, I was getting to the point where the controls and the way that Trico works with the character were becoming a lot less endearing and understandable and a lot more frustrating and encumbersome. It got to the point where, mostly because there's not a lot of variety in what you're actually doing, there's a little bit of variety in moving through the environments, and as the story progresses, you begin to learn a few more things along the way. But as far as the actual gameplay, what you do as a character, there's not a ton of variation there. It's mostly letting Trico figure it out, which is it's interesting.
Did you ever play Ico?
Yeah, I didn't finish it, but I did play Ico, and the thing is, this is a lot more like Ico or Eco. I don't know how people say it.
It is way more Ico than it's almost not at all Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
What I expected. Mm-hmm. I'm with you so far. I agree that Trico, for better or for worse, acts like an animal in that sometimes he'll listen to your commands, and you can't tell if he's not listening to your commands because he's programmed to act semi-independently or he's just bad AI.
Yeah.
And you can't figure it out. And a lot of times, like, oh, that's cute. He's kind of doing his own thing, even though I'm like shouting for him and he's like playing with something.
Yeah.
You're like, all right, that's cool, but I actually can't progress unless you come over here and let me climb on top of you.
Yeah.
I'm still loving it right now, and maybe like 6 hours in, I'll feel a lot like you. But a lot of my hatred of the game comes purely from mechanics standpoint. The minute you leave a building, the frames dip into the teens.
Yeah.
And
It's
awful,
it makes me so upset that that's the case, because you'll probably recall that was the one thing I guaranteed you would probably soil my experience. I couldn't predict a lot of what I expected out of it, but I knew that if it didn't run well, that would suck ass. And it doesn't run well, man. It doesn't.
Like, I'm telling you, man, it's like sub 20 frame rate. It's garbage.
I watched a performance analysis from Digital Foundry, and it tended to sit around 20 when it was outside. I didn't see it go into the teens, but it felt like the teens, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Made it nearly unplayable.
Yeah.
It was the camera, and maybe, I don't know if it can't just be me, but you'll tell the camera to go one way, and there's a solid half second delay before the camera moves.
That's not just the camera either. That's some inputs. That's input commands. There's like a half second to maybe a full second of delay. Like when you're swimming, for example, it's the silliest thing, but like when you're pushing a button to go down, there's a very noticeable delay in the action being taken, and I don't know why that is.
And not all actions are delayed either. Like some are delayed, some aren't. So you're very confused as to what's going on. And the camera, when it half the game is me fighting the camera, and then a lot of the times the camera's just bad. Like it gets stuck behind trees, and you're trying to see what you're doing, but you can't because you're just looking at leaves in your face, and you're
especially
not sure
in
what's
like
happening.
narrow corridors where Trico is trying to fit in there too, and you've got so much shit going on. The camera's just like, I have no idea where to go, so we'll just get into a wall. There was a point where it got stuck in the wall, and I couldn't progress. The camera like fused into the fucking wall. All I saw was black. I couldn't move. I had to reboot. I had to restart from the title screen. It was crazy.
The performance is god awful. This is a game that would greatly benefit from a very powerful PC. Just
I
playing
wonder.
it.
I actually really am curious if it runs well on the PS4 Pro. That's what
It
people were
does.
asking.
Well is sort of subjective. As I said, I watched that performance review, and if you played on a PS4 Pro at 1080p, and there's no option to change this within the game, you have to set it as your outside in your hardware preferences. It'll launch in a different resolution mode that will keep it at generally 30 FPS throughout the game. Sometimes it dips to 28, but it's almost locked.
Huh.
Whereas if you go to 4K mode, that's like the second worst performance, and it ranges between 20 and 30, but tends to stay towards the upper 20s. Whereas what we're playing it on, the PS4 regular version, at 1080, it's 1080, right? Or is it 720?
1080.
Oh, is it 1080? Okay, yeah.
I think it's 1080.
Okay, if it's 1080, then it's sitting generally between 22 and 28 frames per second,
It's
mostly all the time, and you can feel it in the lag every time you press
You
jump.
can feel
I
it,
don't,
man. That's
even
the worst
understand
part.
how that works. Like, so just so you guys know, like when you're developing a game for console and it starts going through like lot check and stuff like that, there's a team of people there that are like quality control. And they were like, all right, your game is dropping below 60 frames a second here, improve that. And they basically won't let you release your game. if
This
it's
is a
not-
game that's been in development for over like 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. It doesn't.
I'm
I
wondering if
don't,
it's
I don't understand how that could have happened.
Yeah.
I really don't. Like, that
I-
doesn't make any sense.
I know
Because
nothing
it's
about-
hard to just knock down, unless they were just like, oh, the pictures, the static images of the game in motion have to look beautiful. It's like knocking down the resolution of a few textures, major textures, would make it run better.
Or like not having a real-time reflection on your emerald shield on your back, or not having every single feather on Trico have individual particle physics.
I
And like,
feel like that's. I mean, I don't know shit about development. I can't pretend I do. Like, other than my basic game development classes from like 6 years ago. But I can't imagine the thought process behind every feather on this gigantic animal needs to be animated.
It does.
Well, from a design standpoint, it doesn't make sense because they know that it's underperforming frame rate wise. They know that.
Yeah.
They see that. Everybody's talking about that. And there are things that you can do. It's not like there is some wall there where it's like, well, somebody's connection's not good online and that's why it's lagging. Like, they know what can be improved. For whatever reason, somebody said, no, it's going to be like this, which is really, really weird. Unless they were purposefully doing it to sell the pros and they're like, oh, it's going to run better. But
God.
that just makes the company look even worse. So I don't understand
Especially
why.
when the game was initially supposed to be a PS3.
Yeah, I don't.
PS3 launch title.
I hate being
That's a funny
overly
joke.
critical of developers like that because I know that shit happens. But I don't understand that, though. I don't understand that. I really don't.
The only rationale I can provide is that it's such a silly thing to say, but Trico just does look so good, man. And that's like, it's one of the only big positives is that
But I
Trico
feel
looks.
like he could have been as lovable and as adorable because of his behaviors, regardless of whether every individual feather is fucking animated. Like, that was really nice to see for the first time. And now I just don't care. I don't care that all of his feathers are animated. I like his behaviors and the way he acts and his cries and that. But I wonder if that's what's killing the performance.
Let me tell you a little something about not caring too, because 11 hours into this game, you don't care at all. You're done. I don't give a fucking rat's ass about what's happening in this story anymore because I'm going through the motions, man. Like, you get to the point where you're trying desperately to tell Trico, please, man, just go over there. Just go do the thing. We've been here for 5 minutes. You're sitting there playing with a fucking barrel. Just do it.
God.
Just
Okay,
do
so-
the thing.
For
And-
those who don't know, like, you can feed the animal, and then you feed him these barrels.
Mm-hmm.
And if he can't get to it, he'll paw at it, and he'll try to get it to a position where he can like eat it. And for like at one point, I had the barrels in the water, and that was a goddamn mistake because the barrels bob up and down.
Is he just nudging it forward every time?
He just keeps bobbing it, and then he just stares at it, and then he goes over and is like, and I'm like, oh fuck, like I can't move. Like, come on, you asshole, let's go. And he's like, I'm gonna get this barrel. I'm like, just dip your head in the water and eat it.
It's a lack of context in the way they've programmed the trigger points on the animations is what it is. It doesn't understand that there's water there, and it thinks that it's just trying to move this barrel to a flat spot on the terrain so it can eat it. So it's just going to keep repeating, and that's what the big problem with the AI is. It just doesn't have enough context sensitivity to make sense for a lot of what you need it to do.
That's why I was like, I can't tell if it's just bad AI or if he's supposed to act like this on purpose. I couldn't tell.
So on that note, like, I do want to make that point that I don't know how much of this is, by design. They want Trico to feel like a lifelike creature that's going to make his own decisions and go do his own thing. And, I'm trying to be understanding of that, but there comes a point where it's just it hampers your experience, or sorry, hinders your experience so much just because you're limited by what he does, and it's almost in some cases like you're just watching a Trico movie. Like you're not really an active participant. It's just you kind of let this shit happen and you go along for the ride.
You can, make the argument that that's how an animal would actually behave, but
doesn't make it a fun game, though.
Yeah.
Video game mechanics are like abstractions of the real life most of the time. So I always find that argument like really annoying. Like you're gonna be like, wow, it's really annoying watching this animal with a brain the size of a freaking walnut trying to solve this puzzle, right? I would much rather just be engaged as opposed to amazed at their ability to emulate animal AI.
And it's unfortunate too because I really don't feel like they ever do a very good job of explaining how you're supposed to use Trico. And I guess that's sort of kind of up in the air of whether or not they really wanted to give you the freedom there too to kind of explore and figure it out for yourself. But there are 4 face button commands that you can issue to Trico, right? And then you can also use the left analog stick and hold hold R1, use the left analog stick and command him a direction to go, or at least attempt to command him to go in a certain direction. You get the tutorial segment of how to use the jump button, or the jump command, which is triangle, and then it never tells you what the other 3 do at any point. So you just kind of have to guess. And it's not really... I wonder if there were instances where if I had done those commands, I would have been able to progress faster, or at least, had a different opportunity to do something, but I never know. And no one else knows either because it's never really explained. It's no part of the game tells you what to do with that.
The moment I heard that the talent left the company was the moment I thought, okay, they hit a wall or there's some sort of fight over what this should be and why. Mm-hmm. And there's no doubt that they might have seen that this wasn't going to turn out well and they bailed. There's a story there. Mm-hmm. That isn't being told, that probably can't legally be told. That probably revolves around them being like, okay, this isn't going the direction that we thought it would go. We shouldn't do this, but they're committed to do it. Everything's already been paid for. They got to finish it. And, another team finished it and did what they could with what they had.
Yeah.
It's amazing that the gap in which people see this game. There's like 2 groups. This is a masterpiece and this is borderline unplayable. And those are the 2 groups of people. And I can see how this could have been a masterpiece, and I would like to finish it, but I'm currently in the camp of this is hard to even get the most basic things done.
It's one of the most beautiful games I've ever hated playing. That's that's what I can most succinctly say about The Last Guardian.
My perspective on it is, yes, it's incredibly beautiful, but there's direct dissonance in the fact that because the frame rate's so bad, the very act of exploring is painful to do sometimes. Just looking around waiting for the camera to catch up with you just to look to go, okay, is that the spot I'm supposed to try to get the animal to move over to so I can sort of kind of climb up it, and then it might not stay there, and then I'll get frustrated for a while.
You fucking get up to a pillar, turn around, jump back down, paw around at shit for 3 minutes before you even get the chance to go back up again. Like, that was a routine thing.
I had at one point I was supposed to be on him while he jumped over a fence or like a big wall. Except he jumped over the wall without me, then stood there and looked at me through the gate. And I'm like, come here, and he's just like looking at me like, you mother, jump back over. And I had to wait for him to come back. And then I'm like, okay, jump over the fence now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
The individual problems may not have been as bad if they didn't go in direct opposition to the point of the game, as well as compound over each other.
Yeah.
You know, if the controls were a little iffy, but the frame rate was all right, you could probably get past it. If the game looked really pretty, but like, you know, there wasn't a lot of depth, well, maybe you could have kind of got past that because the storytelling was still good. As it turns out, like, maybe the storytelling is great, but it's just so annoying to play. You don't want to sit through it to get to that point.
Yeah. I don't want to go too much longer because we're actually running into our time constraint here. But yeah, this is so painful for me to say, but I don't think I can recommend it. It's just there's a lot of other really good games out right now, by the way, first of all, that I think are a lot better than this, unfortunately. But at a 12-hour expected time of completion with the amount of just redundancy and poor explanation, in my opinion, the controls are so difficult, the camera's so wonky, the performance is so bad. There's not enough there right now.
It's the thing, like, with Shadow of the Colossus and Ico, like, the camera was always wonky and the controls were always clunky, but the game ran well and you could at least have control over what you were doing for the most part.
It didn't run extremely well off the initial release, I will say that, but the remaster was a lot better.
I have memories of Ico running pretty bad on the PlayStation 2.
Yeah,
Okay,
so yeah.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it was the first game to bloom the fuck out of everything. It was boom, boom, boom.
And Last Guardian does the hell out of that too, by the way. It's
maybe
very
that's
bright.
the thing. Maybe they've always been. Maybe Shadow. I mean, the design of Shadow is so extremely good that people overlook a lot of the shortcomings of what the company's done.
Maybe. I don't remember. I remember loving Shadow of the Colossus when it came out. I'm sure it didn't run well, but I don't remember it running poorly. But it might be because, like you said, it was so good in spite of itself.
Yes.
I played it again recently, and I found it very frustrating for the same reasons Last Guardian is frustrating. The controls were really off to me.
I've even had minor frustrations with the controls with Shadow, but nothing like this. It's totally
Do they
different.
ever stop tutorializing the controls, or is that
it always pops up, even like right at the
the
end.
entirety of the game?
You're always getting the tooltips.
I was 2 hours in. I'm like, surely they're going to stop telling me what the jump button is soon.
I don't know if you can turn it off either. I'm pretty sure it's just
You
default
can't. There's
on.
no options.
There's like no
brightness.
options at all. You're right.
Yeah.
Oh,
You got brightness and subtitles, like
Holy
basically
shit,
it.
dude!
So
And it's a huge weird pop-up that takes up like the whole right side of the screen too. So
Yeah.
what?
Hey man, Isaac gives you a tutorial every time you start a run too. It's really intrusive.
Very intrusive. Yes.
okay. Yeah. No one wanted to love this more than me before anybody even jumps down my fucking throat. Okay, I swear to God, I tried so hard. Every part of me wanted to love this, but it was like the 7th hour. It was really just okay. I'm done. I'm done playing this. I don't want to do this anymore. So, yeah,
sad.
there it is. The Last Guardian. It's $60 on PS4. I don't really recommend it, and that sucks because I got a fucking collector's edition statue back there behind me, which is beautiful, by the way. That thing is awesome, but
And it moves at the same frame rate the game does.
Oh my goodness.
Ice cold.
got 'em.
Yeah, I would say the best thing you could do in this situation is wait until everyone's got a PS Pro, and then once it's in the bargain bin, maybe grab a copy.
Just wait for the PS5 remaster.
I was
Or
gonna
that.
say,
Or that.
You know what? If it ran really well, like almost flawlessly, I might actually be able to recommend it at that point. But it's still definitely it's marred with issues still.
well, the technology just has not evolved to the point where this game can run properly. It's like a powder situation. We need to wait for the world to catch up so we can experience its true vision.
If only there were stronger systems we could attempt to play it on that perhaps would alleviate these concerns for us.
If only there was some piece of hardware that was more technologically powerful and moddable and
Who would
Well,
make
we don't
such a
have one,
creation?
unfortunately.
I know,
I
right?
guess we'll
We
never
are-
know.
we're
In the
limited to a
distant
world of
future, I
consoles.
guess. Yeah.
in a perfect world, I guess.
Well, fun. There we go. That's that's the Last Guardian. I'm gonna knock back the Final Fantasy 15 and Ghost Lords for next week here, and
Yeah, that's
we'll
fine.
get into Ask Roundtable. It's everybody's favorite segment of the week. It's Ask Roundtable here. You can send in your questions to roundtableyt@gmail.com. Please send in more questions. We could use a few more of those. Roundtableyt@gmail.com. This week's question comes from Ethan. Pretty simple one. If you could put together a bundle of 5 games that would make up a definitive/best of PC game bundle, what 5 games would you put in it? So we've got 5 of us here today, so I figured we could each contribute one.
No, hold on. Wonder what Ryan's.
Let's start with Ryan. Let's knock out the top left
Ed's here, man. Now's your
I
time.
was gonna say I can't say Isaac because it would just be like it's sucking up. So, I don't know. I feel like there's a bias in these questions to like always come back to like the mid to late 90s. Like it's always like Half-Life, StarCraft, Diablo 2. So I'm gonna throw in something more recent, probably counter that bias with my own bias, but I don't know what it is.
Okay. I can just tell you, yeah, Matt,
I'm gonna do what somebody has to do.
Sure.
The Witcher 3.
Right out of the gate, man. All right, there you go.
Throw it out there.
Witcher
Games
3's
of
in
the
the
year
bundle.
2014, 2015, 2016.
It's gonna keep
2017.
racking them up. You guarantee it. I'm gonna put Spelunky in there. Probably surprising nobody. I think it's probably one of the best games made in the last decade. Honestly, it's just real good.
My obvious pick is, well, also sucking up. Super Meat Boy.
But you love Super.
I really love Super Meat Boy. It's never going to get boring for me. I probably will outlast every other platformer. If I can't pick that, I guess I would say Planet Coaster, because I think that's got huge appeal to a lot of different groups.
What do you think, Edmund?
What was so? Tell me the question again, so I know exactly.
Put together a bundle of 5 games that would make up a definitive/best of PC game bundle. So we're not restricted by time or genre or anything. It's just whatever
All right,
PC
okay, here we
game.
go. Fallout 1 and 2. Can I put those
Yes.
together?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
All right.
I agree.
XCOM, the original XCOM. I want to say the original Diablo for nostalgia, but it's probably not. No, I'll cut that one off. Spelunky.
Yeah.
For sure. Let's see, what else PC-wise?
Do you have a lot of hours in Spelunky, Edmund?
Hours in Spelunky?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I did everything that can be done except for kill the eggplant.
Oh, yeah. No, me neither.
But yeah, no, that's a game that I still pick up
Awesome.
all the time.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, so great.
Cool. Ryan, you figure it out?
Uh-oh. Here comes my wife.
What?
What are
Perfect.
your top 5 PC games?
Quake 3 Arena,
Mm-hmm.
That's really good.
Nice.
Oregon Trail,
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
All right.
Blast Miner.
Fuck! You guys probably don't even know what that is.
I legitimately
No.
like Blast Miner.
Well, good for you. Blast Miner is a game I made. It was a horrible failure for the most part. But it was a puzzle game that I put out with Cryptic Sea. It was like this only other game that we released.
Huh.
Let me see what else. I can't remember which Sims a couple years ago that was. Oh man, I was running the whole town. I had this guy that had like gotten to the highest whatever in his job, and then he died. But his ghost continued working, and that's all he did.
My favorite part of The Sims was when you'd leave something on the ground, and then it would get flies everywhere, and then you'd pick it up, and then the flies would be permanent.
Oh yeah, I
yeah.
had a lesbian gal who adopted a baby, and then my baby glitched, or maybe a plate glitched. Something glitched on the ground, and my baby got taken away
Whoa. Whoa.
because it couldn't clean up.
Oh, shit.
Game
Yeah.
of the forever.
Yeah,
Oh,
hasn't
yeah.
happened yet in real life.
Not yet.
Keep a close eye on the plates.
Awesome.
Are you?
I think Star Wars TIE Fighter and X-Wing all have to be up there for me.
One sec, I got to mute. So I
Good.
can-
Right
yeah,
on.
yeah.
Ryan, knock it out.
I don't know, like
Quick, now he's not listening.
2000 or something.
All right. Awesome.
SimCity 2000 is pretty good.
It is, yeah. No, that's a legitimate answer. Ethan, thank you very much for the question, buddy. Appreciate it. If you got your questions, send them to roundtableyt@gmail. I don't know. That was not where you should send them. roundtableyt@gmail.com. Time for everybody's favorite segment. After their favorite segment is Nick's Weird Game. Nick's Weird Games. Nick's Weird Games.
All right, let's do it.
Hey, Edmund. So every week we got our Nick's Weird Games segment where we're going to go ask Nick to grab a game from his catalog of a ton of weird games. We typically have Mr. Latorno here, Northern Lion, grace us with a theme song, an impromptu theme song prior to the segment. Do you have any favorite song from maybe the 90s or today that you'd like for him to attempt to perform an improvisational cover of?
What's that? Remember that "Steal My Sunshine"?
Ryan, you're muted.
Oh, you're muted.
Muted.
You know, that's Len. They're Canadian.
Well, go for it.
All right.
All right, here we go.
Be like, by the way, I'm a terrible singer, but I'm good with the words sometimes. Just don't expect good pitch. I'd be like, I was streaming on the show a Friday morning of this week, NICKS Weird Games. He usually brings a PlayStation 2 game from 2003, and it's published just in Japanese. The developer's been defunct for a decade at least. R.I.P. Konami 3. But I guess it's all been fun, and it's time that we begun. So let's have another Nick's Weird Game.
That was
And then it would just,
That
was fantastic.
phenomenal.
so good.
Episode 69 worthy. All right. Nick's Weird Games. Close your chats.
All right, so yeah, everybody close your chats. We're getting ready for another one here. I have my game ready to go if you guys are ready right now.
Ready.
All right.
With
we're
Edmund
looking
here,
at-
I actually believe in us. I think we got a chance, man. I'm good.
we got 3 former GameStop employees, so
I think there's a
Well-
chance.
2 technically, I guess.
We're looking at a game on the PS2 today, as has so often been the case. We're looking at a game that was released in 2005,
Okay.
developed by Taito
Okay.
and Garakuda Studio,
Okay.
published in North America by Hot B.
Hot B.
Hot
B.
B. That is good.
I actually don't even know who that is. Never heard of them. So the premise of this game is that it's a 3D action-adventure game where you create your own characters from drawings. Those drawings then get imbued with special powers.
Magic Penguin?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
All right, well, let me give you a little more. You can draw body parts and assign them functions, such as leg or head. And the movement and attacks can be customized individually. It's a very ambitious game, actually. It kind of makes me want to go back and play this again.
Sounds like
Is
it.
this called Drawn to Life?
Nope, but that's a good guess. That was on DS.
Yes, it is DS one. It's gotta be.
So this game is a more action-oriented platformer, whereas the game you mentioned, Magic Penguin, was more like a rock, paper, scissors type thing, sort of like a Pokemon-style battle system. You play as Prince Pixel of the Canvas Kingdom.
I've played this game. I know what game you're
Yeah, I
talking
know this
about.
game too. I thought that was Magic Penguin.
No, there was another one.
Well, actually, we did Magic Penguin on another episode.
I don't remember doing that. Oh, it's a Graffiti Kingdom.
There it is.
Ooh, nice.
Mathis with another point.
Good
Graffiti
shit.
Kingdom.
Yeah,
I
baby.
keep trying. I remember going back in the day. I kept playing those draw your own creature games, Drawn to Life, Magic Penguin, and they all sucked.
Yeah.
I thought they were interesting, even though I get where you're coming from. Let's see if chat got it.
I'm sure they did. I'm.
Well, let's see how far up the chat list we can
Oh
go.
Jesus Christ! Look at all these people who just like it's the Graffiti Kingdom.
Oh, there's like 2 games in this sort of little niche subgenre.
Yeah,
I suppose.
that was a very particular kind of game right there.
The first one I see is Cry Ghoul with Graffiti Kingdom on there. Oh, wait, nope. Tristan Lion.
Tristan
Looks
Lion.
like-
Well done.
I definitely think out of all of them, probably Drawn to Life was my favorite.
Was it Hot B that gave it away?
Yeah, it was
Happy.
Love the
Hot-
emotes that came out of that.
Hot B also can fit into future Nick's Weird Games theme songs because it has a very common syllabic ending.
Yes, it does.
Nice. Yeah, use that, please.
Hell yeah. All right. Ladies
That's
and
it.
gentlemen, you made it
We
through
did
another episode of Roundtable Live. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much to Edmund McMillen for joining us. You can buy Afterbirth Plus on January 3rd, 2017 on Steam. Isn't that right?
Yep. Someone snap that.
That's a good clip. All right.
It's good.
Oh, man. We want to thank all of you for joining us here today. We want to thank Edmund for joining us. We also want to remind you can check out the podcast on iTunes, on SoundCloud. You can follow us on Twitter at RoundtablePC. You can join the show discussion on the subreddit, roundtablepodcast.reddit.com. We also want to send a big fat thank you again to Madrina's Coffee for sponsoring all the December episodes of Roundtable. You can go to madrinascoffee.com/shop and use the code RoundtableCoffee and get 40% off of any purchase online. They're working on the shipping, by the way. There was a lot of questions in chat about that. They are actively working on it, so there you go. Also, you can go to madrinascoffee.com/roundtable and enter the giveaway to win free coffee for a year, courtesy of Madrinas. So thank you very much to them. I also want to thank our patrons over on patreon.com/roundtable, which include but are not limited to Julian Avelsgard, General Crunk, Jonathan Graham, Scotty119, Trevor Farley, Isaac, Please Don't Bind Me, Oldale, Colby Klein, David Schmitz, Greenlight, Oren Saltzman, Christopher Flagg, Eric Schooley, Brizzlebritt, Positron, Mythscarab, Mediocrities, Justin Sommerfett, and Logan Ray. Thank you all very much for your continued support over there on Patreon. Thank you very much for watching this week's show. We'll be back next week, same time, same place, twitch.tv/Roundtable Podcast, 12 p.m. Pacific. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye.